guest list only. If your name's not on the list, you ain't going in. Let's see, A, no, that's not right. So it's B, Bane. Ah, here it is, Batman. Hey, looks like you're the guest of honor. Give him a big welcome, guys.
Yeah!
With the series' inception almost 15 years ago, the Batman Arkham series offers some of the best gaming experiences since. Titles that would have notable influence on other titles from other studios. Yet few could come close to what the series had to offer. 4 games in total, each with their own strengths and weaknesses. It's funny to look back at how a studio with one game under their belt at the time had the keys to the Batman franchise. But to produce titles that were Game of the Year worthy and some of the best games in the last 15 years? Talk about a welcome surprise. With that, let's start from the series' beginning. Starting with a trip to the Funny Farm.
Look who's finally turned up, the Dark Knight himself. How's it hanging, Babs?
Arkham Asylum begins with Batman taking the Joker back to, well, Arkham Asylum. We're introduced to the Warden of Arkham, Quincy Sharp. Batman senses something isn't right and heads into the asylum. We get a walk and talk stretch to set the scene. Something that's cliche these days and tend to go on far longer than need be. In Arkham Asylum, it's kept brief. There's plenty of world building and exposition within this stretch. We'll get to see other Arkham inmates, like Killer Croc.
Croc, old boy, is that you?
Get ready. Keep your weapons trained on it at all times.
Looks angry. What's it doing?
I've got your scent, Batman. I will hunt you down.
Get that animal under control!
We get a couple of humorous moments beyond the Joker's musings.
Much more personal.
Got a red light. Multiple prohibited items.
I want Joker searched again.
He's not the patient. It's...
Ooh, would you sneak in with your bats? Come on, tell me. Batarangs, bat claws, bat smacks.
There is a nice gotcha moment, a showing of the dynamic between Batman and Joker.
What's he doing? Stay where you are. Get a flashlight. Get a light on him.
Taken in, Joker springs his trap. Now the game begins proper.
Get up! Now!
Joker's loose. Alert the warden.
Hurry! We're losing him
The joke's on you.
Ta-da!
Honey, I'm home.
Come on in.
Welcome to the madhouse, Batman! I set a trap, and you sprang it gloriously! Now let's get this party started.
Arkham Asylum uses a combat system that has had a notable impact on combat systems and games. Not the first of its kind, but one that helps set a benchmark moving forward. I haven't come across any series that has topped its usage here, especially as the Arkham series evolved. Asylum sets a solid or rock-steady foundation. It's most notable how it evolved throughout the series when I came back for a few rounds of combat after playing the sequels. Yes, memes aside, the combat system makes you feel like Batman. It's a rhythm-based system that keeps things simple. It's different from character action games like Devil May Cry or Bayonetta. One button for hits, another button for counters. Successive hits build up your combo. Once you build up a combo, you can start adding another attacks into the fold, like instant takedowns. Batman can start moving great distances with the push of a button. You're leaping around the combat arena with the greatest of ease. And you could feel every hit, every bone crushing and breaking. can knock enemies to the ground and go for a ground takedown to take them out. This takes a bit of time to pull off and opens you up for a hit. Considering how agile Batman is elsewhere, it is a bit puzzling how long he takes here, but I understand it from a gameplay perspective. Have the ability to remove a thug from a fight with one hit, one that you don't need to build up a combo for. A hit that takes some time to go through, one in which other thugs take the opportunity to rush you. Playing through the series, I have to wonder how many times I would get hit while trying one of these takedowns, more than I care to admit. The game does a great job of rubbing in your face when you lose your combo, whether through waiting too long for the next strike or getting hit. The sound effect screams, "Try again, this time with feeling." It's interesting to read about the revisions the combat system went through. At first, combat was a full rhythm action game. The second involved colored circles bashing into each other, and would be in 2D. This second iteration set the foundation for the final system. As far as I know, they've never shown any footage of these earlier combat iterations. Too bad, as I'd love to see how it evolved. It's those earlier prototypes that got Rocksteady the gig for Arkham Asylum. They were playing around with what the Unreal Engine 3 was capable of. IDOS, who acquired the Batman license, liked what they saw and gave Rocksteady the keys to the franchise. At this point, Rocksteady only had one game under their belt: Urban Chaos: Riot Response, a title from 2006. Something I haven't played before this video, so let's change that. Here's my little mini review of Urban Chaos. It's one of those enjoyable mid-sized budget titles during the 6th generation. A first-person title, we play as Nick Mason. No, not the drummer from Pink Floyd. He's part of T-Zero Riot Control Squad. An unnamed American city is overrun by a gang called the Burners. It's up to us to deal with them. We do so through lethal and non-lethal force. Guns and Molotov cocktails for lethal. Tasers for non-lethal. We have a riot shield to protect ourselves against attacks. Some enemies require a non-lethal approach to gather intel, one that requires us to get up close and personal. You can order around allies like firefighters or paramedics to assist you. While it's a decent game with some interesting features, it's nothing too special. To think the Batman series came from the same studio is a bit of whiplash. Beyond some of the gang dialogue, I couldn't see much of the Batman DNA within Urban Chaos. Still, it was fascinating to give a spin to see where Rocksteady started. Anyways, back to Arkham Asylum. Gadgets in combat are minimal, especially compared to later entries. You could use batarangs to stun enemies or bring them in closer with the Batclaw. As the game progresses, combat encounters will not only vary in size, but also enemy type, like dealing with enemies with stun batons or combat arenas with guns on hand. You have some larger enemies like the Titan henchmen to deal with. They're the classic hulking brute in combat encounters. Easy to dodge their attacks, but they'll hit like a truck if they connect. There's plenty of fun and amusement hopping on their back to swipe away at thugs. The way they stagger around like they're coming home from a long night of drinking. There are some fun ways to enter combat encounters, like a glide kick from above to say hello, or using the line launcher to knock a batch of thugs over.
What the hell is this?
Building up combos rewards more experience, allowing for upgrades. Upgrades are pretty minimal here. That would expand as the series progressed and more was offered. It's a quality first take of where the series would go with combat. As mentioned, it was interesting to play a few rounds of combat having made my way through the rest of the series. It's quite the feat with how much they were able to add in further additions to the combat without losing the foundation of what made it work. There are several points throughout Arkham Asylum where we're in a room full of armed thugs. This is where we lurk in the darkness, picking them off. Throw them into disarray and panic as you take them down one by one. They're trapped in here with us, not the other way around. These Predator sections are better executed than the combat and its foundations. While combat would receive large improvements throughout the series, stealth didn't have the same level of change. It was not until Arkham Knight that notable differences entered the fold. Not to say that the other games lacked in the stealth department. Anything but. It's more that they got so much right on the first go-around. Throughout the asylum, there are gargoyle statues we could use to get a lay of the room from above. Very handy to have, no? It seems like something Bruce would put in place for situations like these. In some cases, you think the thugs would have better awareness of looking up. Depending on getting caught, or as the game progresses, they will get more wise to them, like shooting them down. There's one section later on where using a gargoyle to perch will set off an explosive. As Asylum progresses, thugs will start wearing collars. When we knock them out, it will alert the others. This removes the option of clearing out the room with none of them the wiser. Of course, you can use this change to your advantage. I love to take down a thug, lay down some explosive gel next to them, and detonate when the others came to check out what happened.
Help me! Shut up, me down! Anyone got a plan?
Leave them there. We've got bigger problems. Find them there.
One takedown that always gave me a laugh was using the bat claw, yank an enemy over a ledge for an instant knockout. Although with how they could land at points, death may seem more probable. There's so much at your disposal here. Corner takedowns, takedowns from grates, inverted takedowns. Of course, if you get caught, you do have options. Grapple around from gargoyle to gargoyle until enemies lose you. As strong as the bat suit can be, a few bullets are more than enough to take down the bat. Helping us get a lay of the land is detective mode. Detective mode. While it wasn't the first, many titles have copied elements of detective mode. It makes sense for Batman to have it, with all that gear of his. That said, there are several issues with detective mode. One is how useful it is, that there's little incentive to turn it off. It's something that the studio noted and scaled back moving forward in the series. Arkham Asylum still holds up on the visual front. Rocksteady were absolute wizards in regards to tech and art direction. That being the case, there are issues of visual clutter and some visual clarity issues. Not as bad as other games, but something to note. Something that really start to pop up around this time frame. Some parts are due to the advancement of graphic fidelity, and other parts are due to developers filling up screens with guidance, to the point where you could sleepwalk through games if you want. Detective mode in a way can act as a crutch to get around visual clutter. I didn't find it too egregious here, but you could see other games use it as a bit of a crutch. And my goodness, toggling detective mode on or off has the most annoying white flash. How did this make it through testing? At least this isn't an issue moving forward in the series. In stealth encounters, there's plenty of verticality. Using detective mode helps give you a lay of the land. It shows points of entrance to grates or other possibilities to get the drop on enemies. You can't hear thugs' footsteps to get an idea of where they are. It's all visual-based stealth, but as far as it goes, it's one of the best. It's a blast to clear out a room, one thug at a time. The panic grows as their allies fall. To have such a solid combat and stealth system in the same title is a testament to the love and care Rocksteady put into the series.
What are you doing?
Arkham Asylum takes a more linear approach to its exploration and layout. Later entries would go for an open world approach with great execution, but there are elements that are lost in that transition to the open world. As a result of its smaller, linear scope, Arkham Asylum has a tighter pace. There are even light Metroidvania elements within Asylum. As the game progresses, we'll revisit old areas with more equipment. Some along the critical path, others optional to return to. Batman didn't exactly come prepared for this night, although he has a bat cave on the island for situations like these.
A bat cave on Arkham Island?
I built it years ago. It's best to plan ahead for situations like this.
How'd you manage to keep this a secret?
It's me, remember?
Even then, he only grabs one tool. There's an amusing bit where Batman's stuck in a room, so he uses the Batwing to bring him a line launcher. Why not get more tools while he's at it? I'm sure he has more room on that old utility belt of his. There are sections blocked off with secured doors. As we progress, we'll get the cryptographer sequencer to bypass them. We need to do a ho-hum little minigame to open them up. The way Batman keeps aware of his surroundings during these is pretty funny. It's like when you're a kid and you're looking at something on the computer that you shouldn't be. You're afraid your parents are going to come in at any moment. There's plenty of exploring through vents throughout Arkham Asylum. No doubt for hiding loading screens. It's a trick that the series would make less use of moving forward. It's crazy to see how far they were able to push the Unreal Engine 3 as the series progressed. Beyond running, we can glide around or use the line launcher for faster navigation. Grappling up to get some air is pretty limited. That said, it's not a huge issue considering the map size. There are plenty of collectibles to come across in our travels, one of them being Riddler trophies from the Riddler. Entering a certain section, we're given a clue of what to look for. Once we find it, we can scan it to complete the riddle. Most involve other inmates from the large Rogues Gallery of Batman. These provide some background on these characters. As well, they serve as foreshadowing of those we'll come across in the sequels. There's a neat little optional scene where we could see Clayface and his powers in action.
So, you've discovered my true face, detective. Please keep it a secret. Get me out of here! You rescued the wrong warden. He's an imposter. You know how many freaks are in this place.
Along with these, there are many Riddler trophies to find in the environment. Good luck finding them all. We can also come across tapes of patient recordings. Thing is, they tend to have placement in areas where they'll get cut off. I'd start to listen to one, only for Batman to chat with Oracle a few feet later, cutting it off. Arkham Asylum and the series in general has stellar voice acting and cast. Key players from the animated series return, that being Kevin Conroy as Batman, Mark Hamill as the Joker, and Arlene Sorkin as Harley Quinn.
Harley! What's he doing here? It's too early!
I'm sorry, Puddin'. Don't be angry with me. Mwah!
A bummer to note that of those three, only Mark Hamill is still alive. Kevin Conroy passed away at the age of 66 in 2022. Arlene Sorkin at the age of 67 in 2023. On the note of Mark Hamill, I didn't learn until making this video he wasn't the original plan for Joker in the animated series. It was Tim Curry. Some clips have surfaced online with his performances. Due to bronchitis, he had to step away from the role and Mark took his place. One of those weird what-ifs.
Justice is served hot, Batman. You're gonna melt just like a grilled cheese sandwich. Hey, Batman, you stink so bad, I can smell you from here. Pew. Pew, pew, pew.
Compared to further entries, Arkham Asylum has a smaller roster of villains to deal with. Of course, we have the Joker and Harley Quinn, always a presence throughout. But there are other super criminals we'll deal with along the way. One being Bane. His venom plays a key factor in the story of Arkham Asylum. Instead of the cold, calculated Bane, we get juiced out Bane in a lackluster fight. It's a cliched fight of dodge the brute and let him run into the wall. He more or less acts the same as a Titan thug. Quality boss fights were the exception and not the norm with the Rocksteady titles. WB Games Montreal, the studio behind Arkham Origins, were able to solve the formula. The difference in quality between the Origins Bane fight and here is noticeable. Same goes for his portrayal, but we'll get to Origins later on. I love the end of this fight, a nice inverse of the time when Bane broke the bat.
I'm not a rookie. I can handle myself.
I will break you, Batman! Then the Bruja!
No, Bane. This time I break you!
You can get a great game over with Bane breaking the bat if you lose the fight.
The bat is broken!
I love these game over screens throughout the series. Depending on where they'll happen, you'll get different characters taunting Batman. I throw fights at times to see what I would get.
Oh, isn't that cute? Little Bat's a-sleepin'. Someone finish him off.
Having a little lie down, are you? Enjoy it. It's your last.
You fought well, and so I grant you the favor of a quick death.
Pig happy, pig glad. Pig gets to play with flesh, make it look pretty after death.
The most notable sections of Arkham Asylum involve Scarecrow. The first encounter plays a trick on us, thinking that Jim is dead. Piles up all these other irregularities, capping off with entering Scarecrow's world.
Barbara, I'm sorry. I was too late.
I'm sorry. The number you've dialed isn't available. Please leave a message after the tone.
Father, you should have stood up to him, son. Like a man.
Mom?
Help us, Bruce.
I do have mixed feelings of these stretches within his world. I do love the great otherworldly atmosphere, but the hide-and-seek platforming in the style of something like a Crash Bandicoot with its camera, a little bit silly. Plus, I'd never been a fan of how Scarecrow's design is here. I prefer his look in Arkham Knight, far more intimidating and the voice to match it. The second encounter makes great use of infinite hallways and marking the room we enter as Wayne Manor. Scarecrow's fear toxin brings up the turning point in Bruce's life, the death of his parents before we enter Scarecrow's world once again. What's notable here is the ending of this encounter. We're a long way away from where we entered. We're now in the clock tower of the building. How did that happen?
Has anyone seen the bat? Come on! Someone must have seen where it went!
But it's the third encounter that's a serious highlight. Now, when I played Arkham Asylum for the first time back in the day, I was aware of this section. As a result, the moment didn't have quite the same impact. But as far as game sections of breaking the fourth wall, it's masterful. I've heard many stories of people freaking out that their game glitched at that one moment, and I don't blame them.
Did anyone catch the game last night?
I returned to the game's opening, but this time Batman is the one captured. The one brought in is a patient, and that loading screen throws you for such a loop, telling you to dodge Joker's bullet by tilting the mouse, or with a controller, use the middle stick to dodge. We have a long fight with skeletons before returning to the real world. I love how returning shows the damage Batman has done to those around him. These skeletons weren't only in Bruce's head, it shows that iron will he possesses. At the same time, as Scarecrow says, he may be as crazy as they are.
How are you doing this? You've ingested enough toxins to drive dead men insane. What are you?
Why fight it, Batman? You're as crazy as the rest of us. You need us as much as we need you. And to prove it, I'll flood the catacombs with enough fear gas to break the minds of everyone in Gotham for 100 years.
Doing detective work, Batman discovers one Dr. Penelope Young of Arkham Asylum creating a Titan formula, an offshoot of the venom Bane uses. Joker looks to create an army of 1,000 Banes, as Batman puts it. One detail I love is Bruce's beard growing as the night progresses, the bat suit and cape getting more dinged up. Another character to appear from the Rogues Gallery is Poison Ivy. Trapped away from her plants, Harley Quinn frees her in a show of sympathy. With how things turn out, it ends up not being the best choice for her and Joker. But good for us, to an extent. Ivy can create an antidote to deal with the Titan formula. Her plants are out of control. To create an antidote, we need to head to Killer Croc's lair to find the right plant. I was dreading this part. It's been several years since I last played Arkham Asylum. I had it in my memory as that part. You know, the one where you think about revisiting a game, but there's that one stretch. The one you don't want to deal with again and you put off a replay. Fitting that takes place in the sewer. Oh so common for that part to take place in them. Vampire Bloodlines, I'm looking your way. Replaying this section, it's not as bad as I remember. Is it still lame? Yes, very much so. Hitting Croc with a batarang when he pops up gets old quick. But in memory, this part was far longer than it is. And the ending of defeating Croc is quite satisfying.
My caves will be your tomb.
Returning to Ivy, we now have to fight her. She and her plants have succumbed to the intoxicating powers of the Titan formula. While it is the best boss in Asylum, it's still a lackluster one. Dodge her attacks, throw batarangs at the right time, and deal with thugs between stretches. Another issue is how long the fight goes on. Cutting the fight down half would have done wonders. For the finale, Joker has a party waiting for us. You can fight these thugs, but man, let them have their fun. After a wave of Titan thugs, Joker tries to shoot Gordon with the Titan formula. Batman jumps in the way. Demonstrating that iron will of his, Batman resists the transformation.
So, you want to play hardball, bats, do you? Your call. Pickle, pickle. No! Oh, you're ruining my big night! Months of planning down the crapper. I just wanted to bring down your grim facade and for once let you see the world as I see it, giggling in a corner and bleeding. But you've denied me even that. I have nothing to live for.
Joker doesn't take kindly to this and injects himself with the Titan formula. This fight looks different than I remember. Why isn't Joker doing anything? I thought Origins was the one full of glitches. But at least that game was full of decent boss fights. This final encounter stinks, dealing with a wave of thugs before whittling away at Joker. It's too bad the game ends on a stinker, but it's the journey and not the destination.
I can take it. I can take anything you throw at me, Bats. You can't beat me. I'm actually going to win. Ready for the next round?
Always.
What?
I'll never let you win. Never.
As much as the series would improve on gameplay, there are aspects they never topped after Asylum. While they did a great job moving the formula to an open world, I did miss the Metroidvania elements present in Asylum. Not that the other games lacked an atmosphere, but the tight confines of Asylum create an impressive atmosphere that the other games couldn't top. As well, keeping the story smaller in scope results in a narrative that doesn't lose its way. Something that City and Knight would have severe issues with. While Batman has the deck stacked against him, he always has several tricks up his sleeve. That said, it's not a case of where he shuts down everything Joker throws at him at the drop of a hat. It's a great back and forth, and for the Rocksteady titles, the best showing of Batman as a character. The sequels from Rocksteady would bring in other themes in the larger Rogues gallery, but with it came several narrative issues. The smaller scope of Asylum gives it a tighter experience that doesn't trip over itself. Well, for the most part. It's fine to look back now at Arkham Asylum all these years later. As of writing, it's a few months away from being 15 years old. A licensed superhero title from a studio with only one game under their belt. Licensed titles could have a wide variance in quality. Quality experience tend to be the exception and not the norm. Instead, what we got was Game of the Year material. A start to a series that produced some of the better gaming experiences over the last 20 years. One which saw many others take elements from, but could never top. The only ones that could top it would be Rocksteady themselves. And boy, would they ever with Arkham City.
This place is dangerous. I like it. You expecting a kiss?
While other titles in the series would do other elements better, Arkham City is my favorite of the bunch. It's a consideration of the whole equation. The sum is greater than its parts. There's a wide range of improvements to its combat system. It has one of the best shifts to an open world formula I've come across. Arkham City offers far more without going overboard with open world tendencies. Yes, the plot's an utter mess, but such a blast to play. It's one of the best showings of a sequel improving on the original. While Arkham Knight would make several improvements, it would also introduce new issues. The end result is City being the best of the Rocksteady trilogy and the best of the series.
It was all a lie. There's nothing wrong with you.
Nice of you to say, but you of all people should know there's plenty wrong with me.
Arkham City kicks off with a long glance at the painting of Cain and Abel, a shot that will return in the game's end. Two-Face's gang is doing some looting before Catwoman drops in.
You guys just need to chill the hell out.
It's Batman!
What the hell?
Sorry to disappoint you boys.
We have a brief stretch in combat as Catwoman before Two-Face gets the drop on her. We cut back to earlier in the evening. Bruce Wayne is running for mayor of Gotham. You would think Vicky Vale would know that Wayne is nowhere near a millionaire. Like, not even close.
In a few moments, Bruce Wayne will be live on stage to explain his sudden interest in Gotham politics. The infamous Playboy millionaire has never been one to—
Billionaire, Vicky. Millionaires are so last year.
Warren Sharp, the warden in Arkham Asylum, is now mayor of Gotham. He created Arkham City, a district of Arkham to be a home for criminals. Wayne sets out to shut down Arkham City in a different way than usual, not with the approach of Batman, but as Bruce Wayne. He's kidnapped by armed thugs and taken into Arkham City. He comes face to face with Professor Hugo Strange. He knows Bruce Wayne is Batman. He talks about Protocol 10. What this is, he doesn't say. I remember when I first heard Strange's voice, I thought, hey, that sounds like Christopher Lee. No, it's not Christopher Lee, but the voice actor Corey Burton has played Count Dooku in various works in place of Christopher Lee. I could hear why that's the case.
It will be my legacy, a monument to your failure. And if you try to stop me, I guarantee everyone will know your secret.
Like Arkham Asylum, we get a short walking stretch before the game begins proper. We're introduced to the brutality of Arkham City. I could see why they started us off as Bruce in the first place, to get us to witness it firsthand.
Bruce Wayne, you're on my list. Bang!
Move up, prisoner!
No one here beyond Strange seems to know Bruce's true identity. We get the comical irony of how people react to Bruce in Arkham City.
Listen to me carefully. When they open the door, do not panic. Stay close to me.
Do you think I'm taking advice from some guy who's never even been in a fight?
We run into Penguin and his gang. It's here where Bruce breaks out of his cuffs. He's not exactly holding back here in combat. You think someone might put 2 and 2 together here. I'm sure after when they were licking their wounds, one of the thugs came to a realization. Hey, Batman trained Bruce Wayne on how to fight. We get to the high ground to get a drop of the Batsuit. We also get a Bane posting moment before Bane posting was a thing.
I watched your incarceration on the evening news. Was getting yourself arrested a part of your plan all along?
Of course.
Arkham City released a couple months before Bane posting. If you want to go back even further, The Wire did Bane posting a few years before with Mr. CIA.
No way. After what I've been through to toss him out of the plane?
There's an interesting moment here where Bruce tells Alfred, Hugo Strange knows Bruce Wayne is Batman, as opposed to Hugo Strange knows I am Batman. A small shift, but it says a lot about him as a character. With that, the world of Arkham City opens up to us. A world that's far different than the Asylum. City makes the jump from the light Metroidvania linear style to an open world. A shift with some benefits and drawbacks, but it's one of the best shifts to a more sandbox open world I've come across. One part is due to the excellent map design, and not going overboard with making it 16 times the detail. A well-designed space will always triumph over the dick measuring contest of making open worlds as large as possible. Arkham City is one of the best examples of it. It's a shame the industry has avoided this lesson for so long. The map is a horseshoe design. The inner middle remains walled off. There are plenty of landmarks that make it easy to navigate and remember the layout. What helps make the open world work so well here is through navigation. Like combat and stealth, Rocksteady put a lot of thought, care, and love into gliding around as Batman. That hard work paid off. Grapple points are everywhere. We can now dive bomb while gliding to gain speed and glide up to keep that momentum. Do this over and over and it's easy to navigate around without touching the ground. Like returning to the first game for the combat after playing the others, it was interesting to return to Arkham City after playing Arkham Knight, where you could shoot off like a dart while gliding. In City, it works with a much smaller space. Even then, you could get from one point of the map to the other in a short amount of time. An open world brings side quests into the fold of Arkham City. They don't go overboard with shoving too many in. They do a good job of fleshing out the world and implementing the rogues gallery of the Batman lore. Most side quests play out in bits and pieces. You'll get a chunk you could do earlier in the game, and you could do the rest once you reach a certain point along the critical path. Like finding the phone Zaz calls to triangulate where he's hiding, or Azrael watching you in the wings.
I have been watching you, Batman, to see if you are ready.
One highlight with a great ending is the side quest involving identity theft. Corpse with bits and pieces of faces torn off. Where did they go? At its conclusion, we find the man responsible for it and what he's up to.
I couldn't have put it better myself. I take it you're here to stop me?
What do you think?
I think you're too late.
You're a killer, a psychopath. I will stop you.
Really? But you look just like Bruce Wayne. It took time, of course, to find the perfect donors, to graft on the flesh, and finally to lose myself in order to create this.
What a great cliffhanger. Too bad Arkham Knight would drop the ball with Hush. Another side quest involves destroying Titan containers with Bane. It has a goofy ending where Bane gets outplayed like an absolute chump. Again, the hulking brute attitude here is a bummer. Far more than Asylum, which is bad enough as is. At least Origins would course correct his character.
Titan is too powerful to be used against me. I needed it all for myself. Now, do me a favor and die! Ah! No!
I knew I couldn't trust you, Bane, so I used you instead.
What?
Simple. You rounded up the remaining Titan. Now, I can destroy it.
Stop!
Some side quests are one-off stretches, like falling down the rabbit hole with the Mad Hatter. While short, it's memorable with its trippy visuals during a combat gauntlet.
You will do anything I want. You will obey me, and me alone. No! This isn't right! You can't be doing this!
You can go to Park Row and pay your respects to Bruce's parents. I hope no one is watching this when he does so. Imagine some thug looking at Batman doing this and going, "Yo, what's the Bat standing over there for? Why does he care about the Waynes? Wait a minute. I got it. Bruce Wayne funds Batman. It's all coming together." Riddler returns with more challenges. I like the addition of being able to scan a trophy to mark on your map. You may not be able to access it now with your equipment, but you can note it for later. A small but appreciated quality of life feature. Getting these trophies is much more involved. Tight time frames and gadget use can test your skills, and patience at times. Although I found the environmental scanning challenges not as enjoyable as Asylum. Part of that gets lost in the shift to the open world. Again, good luck completing all these Riddler challenges. You might want to check yourself into Arkham Asylum if you feel the need to do them all. Overall, Arkham City is one of the best showings of an open world and what it should be. Keep it small, keep it focused. The open world allows for greater choices in entering combat. In the first game, most combat encounters you'd stumble into. You could do some prep in some cases, but it's not like you had a lot to work with. Throw a few batarangs, glide kick in, use the line launcher when the environment allowed for it. For the open world, you have far more tricks up your sleeve. And once you're in the fray of combat, that's where the combat improvements are most notable in Arkham City. It takes everything from the original and improves on each factor, such as the number of thugs in the fight. The amount on screen and in combat is far higher. This opens up opportunities for several enemies to strike at once, which of course now allows Batman to do several counters at one time. Unlike the first game, moving forward with the series, I played each game on hard, which amps up the aggression of enemies. But the largest improvement is the integration of quick gadgets. Something present in the first, but felt more like an afterthought. It didn't mesh that well with the fisticuffs. Batarangs could knock over enemies, the Batclaw could stagger enemies. But now you have more or less every gadget as a quick gadget. It's seamless in how well the gadgets integrate into fights, planting an explosive gel to send thugs flying. And man, that Batclaw slam. This was my go-to for finishing off the last thug in a combat encounter. Never got old. Building up your combo meter now opens up other possibilities beyond instant takedowns, like destroying a weapon or stunning enemies within a certain radius. One notable addition has Batman jump into the air and toss batarangs at knocked over enemies. This takes them out in an instant. This can be very handy. If you have several enemies knocked over, use this to take them all out of the equation at once. The cape stun has far more usage here. You can put enemies in a daze for a beatdown, build up that combo meter in an instant. Some enemies are only weak to this kind of attack. Or you could use a stun to do an aerial attack in their daze. Handy in all situations, but especially while dealing with enemies with riot shields. As Arkham City progresses, you have a mixture of enemy types to deal with. You'll always be on your toes, knowing which attacks or gadgets to use on enemies to open them up for a hit. Despite how much more frantic and fast combat could get, never felt that the game's controls or elements got in the way. If I died or got hit, that was on me, no matter how large combat encounters can become. It's easy to fall into a flow state, and I'm not only talking about the one Batman can enter if you build up a combo string where this focus increases. Through strong visual design and audio cues, it's easy to get a lay of the land of what thugs are present, no matter the encounter size. To be fair, it's not like every thug will be swinging at you at once. 3 or 4 at most will take a swing at you, but nothing you can't handle. It's a system that's easy to learn but tough to master. Not to the extent of something like a Bayonetta or Devil May Cry or those character action games, but that's never what the series was going for. And sure, if you want, you can only punch thugs and do counters, but the scoring system gives bonuses for variation. It gives the player an incentive to exhaust that arsenal at your disposal, whether other combat moves or your gadgets. The amount of improvements they made to the combat system is staggering. After having such a solid system in place from the original, they upped the ante with Arkham City. In fact, after writing this section, I fired up some combat encounters as a result. It's one of those games where if I feel like killing 15 to 20 minutes, I could do a few combat or stealth encounters. As mentioned while talking about Arkham Asylum, the stealth system had a better foundation than the combat system. While City does make improvements to stealth, it's not to the extent it improves on combat. And again, that's not a knock against it. They got so much right the first time around. Our expanded arsenal offers more choices in interacting with the environment, like using the line launcher to create another vantage point that isn't a gargoyle statue. A new addition, the Disruptor, offers fun in how you could counter enemies. There's much fun to be had in dropping in front of an armed thug, startling them, only for them to realize you've jammed their gun.
Don't hurt me! Please! What's wrong with the stupid gun?
Enemies can now place mines, but you can counter that with a Disruptor. Set one off when they're nearby for some laughs.
You heard the Joker!
but thugs have more tricks up their sleeves, like having the ability to disrupt detective vision until you take that thug out. Arkham Knight would go above and beyond in regards to stealth additions and improvements. In City, it's much smaller in its offerings. But Batman isn't the only one we can navigate the city with. The other is Catwoman. While the foundations are the same, she does offer a different experience. Instead of gliding around, she uses her whip to navigate. You need to get the timing right for faster navigation. She's agile in a different way than Batman, more acrobatic and nimble in her movements. A similar rhythm in combat that's easy to fall into, but a slight change to its tempo. Same goes for stealth. You could crawl in grates above to get the drop on your foes. Depending on what you're into, there's a lot of "God, I wish that were me" moments with her. The campaign of Arkham Asylum is a blast, although the plot is another mess. A wild goose chase, a story biting off more than it can chew, plot threads clashing with one another, cases of Batman acting like an idiot to progress the plot. In discussions about the series, I've seen some mention Arkham City has the best story, to which I ask, how much fear toxin have you ingested? Now, there are a lot of great moments and it's a blast to play, but when you stop to think about the plot for a brief moment, it's another wreck. And it really doesn't have anything to do with the concept of Arkham City as a location. Sure, it's a bit silly, but from a gameplay perspective, it checks the right boxes. It gives a confined space full of Batman's rogue gallery and thugs to deal with. We've already been to the asylum. Keep the innocents out, beyond a few political prisoners we can help within. Continuing from the intro, Batman heads off to the courthouse to save Catwoman from Two-Face. Batman is looking for answers to Protocol 10, but Catwoman's got nothing for him. Missing for years, Strange is now running Arkham City. She mentions rumors of him working with Joker, but just rumors. Joker takes a sniper shot at Catwoman, but Batman intervenes. And Batman concludes that Joker is behind Protocol 10.
It was Joker. You're not safe here. No one is.
Wait, why? Hugo Strange mentioned it when he captured Bruce. We'll hear him throughout our journey providing a countdown for Protocol 10. Catwoman mentioned rumors, but nothing concrete. There's nothing yet to conclude that Joker is behind this. So much for the world's greatest detective. But okay, let's go find Joker and see what he has to say. After all, he did try to assassinate Catwoman. Our investigation will take us to the industrial section of Arkham City. This is where Joker has set up shop. He hasn't been doing well due to the Titan he injected himself with at the end of Arkham Asylum. It's here where Batman walks into one of Joker's traps.
Leave us alone, B-Man! Just leave me with him.
I said move!
This is all your fault! You've hounded him for years, beat him to a pulp, and for what? Why are you so mean?
You fell for the old fake Joker gag, Batman.
Batter up!
I don't have a major issue with Batman falling for this trap. Batman can be a tricky character to write. His plot armor can be thicker than the Batsuit at times. That said, he also needs to be on the losing side every once in a while. As far as City's plot issues go, Joker getting the drop on Batman here is pretty minor. Then we cut back to Catwoman. We'll have these stretches throughout, the meanwhile back at the ranch moments. For the most part, I don't have issues with their placement. It's fun playing as Catwoman, and their stretches are short enough. In a way, her sections feel like a DLC they decide to splice in through the main campaign. With its smaller open-world focus, Arkham City doesn't have a bloated runtime. Joker has seen better days since the Titan incident. He needs a cure pronto. He's put his blood into Batman and sent his blood to hospitals throughout Gotham. Now Batman has a strong incentive to get a cure. And what about Protocol 10?
Protocol 10? Never heard of it.
So Batman requiring a cure, not only to help himself, but his greatest foe and the people of Gotham, that makes for a decent plot hook, which leads to the largest issue with Arkham City. We have this plot thread along with Protocol 10. Either one is more than enough to sustain the main plot. The issue is how they're at odds with one another. The Protocol 10 plot goes on hold for large stretches as Batman seeks a cure. We get a more reactive than proactive Batman. But we do get some proactive Batman here when we go find Mr. Freeze. He's been working on a cure for the Titan formula per Batman's orders. However, he's under the lock of Penguin. He's taken up shop in the old museum. Nolan North did the voice for Penguin and does a great job.
Ooh, aren't you scary?
You
You're about to find out.
Am I really? Listen, I'm what you might call a collector. If someone wants it, I like to think I've got it. And if I don't have it, I'll get it.
This was a time frame when it seemed like Nolan North was in every game. You could have moments like in Mafia 2 the year prior where he talks to himself.
I don't pay up by the end of the week, I'm done for. Loan sharks, huh? No, don't look at me, pal. I ain't no bank. I got a better idea. How about you buy my car? You mean the one that just got stolen? Sure. Still runs good. No thanks. See ya. All right. Catch you later.
We get one of the more memorable combat encounters with Penguin sending a large group of thugs. One of the first major showings of how far the combat system has come since the original. The sheer number of enemies at one time to deal with is a large jump from Asylum. Again, I have to commend how they were able to bump up these numbers without any issues of visual clarity. And you gotta love that goofy shark death that's possible while crossing the ice. At the end of Penguin's stretch, we'll fight Solomon Grundy, the first boss fight. There is a noticeable bump in the quality of boss fights here. That said, they're not what I call great, with one exception we'll cover later, but a much better showing from Asylum's offerings. What follows is a pylon of plot conveniences. Freeze cure requires an old blood source, like really, really old. Good thing we know someone with old blood, that being Ra's al Ghul. I sure hope he's in Arkham City. How are we going to find him? Well, good thing that in the room Freeze and Batman have this conversation, there's a member of the League of Shadows. Good thing after chasing her, we plant a tracker on her, comical in its size, and she and the others don't notice it until it's too late.
I recognized your personal guard. It was just a matter of following her.
Please, mistress, he tricked me. Leave. I will deal with you later.
During this encounter with chasing the assassin, Boy Wonder shows up, only for Batman to shuffle him away to focus on the hospitals with Joker's blood.
I didn't need your help. Really? That's not what it looked like from where I was standing.
Robin is one of those contentious characters that's tricky to pull off depending on the Batman story. Here they keep him at arm's length and in the DLC. As far as portrayals go, he fits well in this universe that Rocksteady created. Younger and more brash than Batman, but doesn't come across as childish. Following the tracker will take us to areas beneath Arkham City. Things start to go downhill really fast for Bruce here.
Bruce, you can hear me, can't you? You need to step into the light. Your father and I are waiting. We missed you so much. You have to do it. We need you to do it, Bruce. Bruce!
Bruce! Can you hear me? Your vitals, they're dropping. It's like they're in free fall. You need to find whatever you're looking for now.
How long have I got?
Oh, thank God. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. At this rate, I'd say minutes. Seriously, Bruce, you need to tell me what you want me to do. What do I get Robin to do? You know, if you don't...
I'll make it.
How is Joker's blood affecting him in such a short period? Remember in the first game when he held back the Titan formula in his body through sheer will and a dose of plot armor? I get why it's done this way. It builds a sense of urgency, but it's pretty ham-fisted in its execution. Bruce has a reunion with Talia, Ra's al Ghul's daughter. They have a bit of a rocky relationship.
Hello, Talia.
You didn't need to get yourself arrested to see me, Bruce. After that night we spent in Metropolis. You could have just called.
Batman needs to prove his worth and take part in the demon trials. The blood of the demon will buy him some time while he finds the cure. This section is very much a visual spectacle. It's sections like this where I'd love to see what Rocksteady could do outside the Batman formula. Well, at least back then, not so much now. This section is a bit gamey while gliding around and needing to avoid touching objects. The fight against Ra's, like the trial prior, is very much a spectacle. In a way, it's a much improved version of the Poison Ivy fight from the prior game. I love how the fight cuts back between the trial world and the real one.
Give in. Never.
We are fated to rule this earth, to wipe it clean of the scum of humanity. Only we can do this. My father is old. His time is over. Ours is just beginning. Take his blade. Kill him. Accept your destiny. Accept our destiny.
You know I can't do that, Talia.
Then, beloved, you will have to die.
While the voice of Ra's is fine here, I do wish they brought back David Warner, who did his voice in the animated series.
Welcome, Detective. It is time for your final challenge. Kill me. Replace me as that of the demon.
You must forgive Ubu, Detective. He is well trained. Allow me to introduce myself. I am he who is called Ra's al Ghul.
And then we get the highlight of Arkham City, and one of the series highlights. The fight against Mr. Freeze. This is a stealth boss fight. Freeze is too powerful to face head on. For each tactic you use, you won't be able to do so again. If you play this fight on hard, like I am here, you have to more or less exhaust your entire arsenal of stealth tricks. It's very much a case of use everything at your disposal. As his health decreases, so do our options.
Get off me! What? No! You cannot hide. Where did you? Oh! No! Oh! I can see. That will not happen again.
The Rocksteady titles always struggled with quality boss fights, but they knocked it out of the park here with Mr. Freeze. I wish I could say the same about the setup for the fight. Freeze makes 2 samples of the cure. He places one in the safe and destroys the other one. Joker has his wife Nora. So what does Batman do? He walks over to the safe like an idiot before Freeze shoots at him and the fight begins. Afterwards, Batman opens the safe, only to find that Harley Quinn took it while they fought it out. I could see why Freeze did what he did, but the way they make up afterward, it feels like they're kids fighting and making up after on the playground. Heading back to Joker's hideout, we get a platforming section for a palate cleanser. It's okay, using the freeze grenade to create surfaces and the Batclaw to navigate the waters. Nowhere near as enjoyable as gliding around the city though. Oh, and remember Protocol 10? Well, we get little blurbs about it from Oracle. A reminder that that plot thread still exists.
I just heard from my dad. He's been summoned to City Hall. Strange is requesting that Emergency Protocol 10 is activated.
Does Gordon know what Protocol 10 is?
Just that it's the worst-case security measure. Strange told the High Council he had failed to stem the use of illegal weapons within the prison.
Weapons he provided. This was his plan all along.
It certainly looks that way. He made it sound like the inmates were planning a mass escape and attack on Gotham. I'll keep you posted.
We get one of the best combat gauntlets in the game against Joker and his thugs, one of the best in the series. The sheer numbers and you having to pay attention to the moving carts making their way through is a lot of fun. The cutscene before with Joker is interesting. Why does his face look different in the mirror? Why do some movements appear a bit off with what's reflected?
Manners cost nothing, Batman. A please wouldn't go amiss. I mean, if you wanted to be cured so badly, you only had to ask.
It's too bad the follow-up is another case of the plot being silly. It's an awkward shuffle to bring Protocol 10 back to the forefront. Batman gets pinned down by debris in the aftermath. Talia walks out of nowhere to offer Joker the gift of immortality, but places a signal tracker for us to follow. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, we switch to Catwoman, up to her cat burglary hijinks. Get the loot, and leave Arkham City. But wait, what about Batman? Is he still trapped under that rebel? He can't use any of his gadgets to get out? Well, why not call Robin for help? Or Oracle? Surely there must be someone. The game gives us a choice. Instead of helping Batman, we can leave Arkham City.
You can do it. Just walk right out of here and leave him. It's easy. You'll never forgive yourself, Selina. Save Batman, then get out of here. It's not like he'll die. It's Batman, right?
And the game gives you a gotcha game over as a result. I love that they included this. Hearing the other defeat in Oracle's words is chilling.
Screw him.
But it's a fake out once it rewinds. A good conscience, Selina can't go through with that and goes to help Batman. Good thing no one in that time went after him. Protocol 10 has now commenced. We now learn what it is. Something you know Batman could have discovered if he wasn't on the wild goose chase. It's wiping out the inmate population of Arkham City. One fell swoop of clearing out the criminals of Gotham. So what does Batman do? Go to stop Protocol 10? No, he wants to go after Joker and Talia. Oracle and Alfred chastise him for even considering it. And for good reason. Alfred even refuses Batman's request here.
You can't. Hundreds will be killed. I need your help to stop the attack.
He'll kill Talia.
You need to think this through. Batman can't let all these people die.
My tracker is not activating. Reroute all Wayne Tech satellites to boost the signal.
I can't do that. I realize it is difficult, Sam. But you need to decide if one life is worth sacrificing to save 1,000.
Don't do this, Alfred.
Batman must save Gotham. I'm sorry, but deep down, you know I'm right.
It's odd seeing Bruce think with his dick first before his head.
My father only saw a monster who could not be tamed.
You tamed my monster.
Okay, just shut up, okay?
With your mouth.
Stop!
In 2 other places.
Okay.
In an order that would surprise you.
Enough!
Ass mouth man.
Despite how much Protocol 10 gets shoved around, once it's the focus, things get back on track. There's a great sense of urgency that's been lacking for a while. We can now access the middle section of Arkham City, heading up the tower where Strange resides. There's a great scene where Hugo talks to Batman about how his presence has created these criminals and supervillains, something that Scarecrow brought up in Arkham Asylum. It's an interesting idea to explore in the world of Batman, something you could build a whole game around. Too bad that wasn't the case here. Strange drops a mention of having a master, that someone works above him. And we get that answer once we reach the top of the tower, which, for whatever reason, my footage was corrupt during this stretch. So here's the map challenge footage of it. The final stealth arena, it's different than the others. It's more constrained in its layout. There's less room to work with than what you're used to. Face to face with Strange, he revels in the results of Protocol 10. And his master, Ra's al Ghul, appears out of nowhere. Like father, like daughter, I guess. It does deal with Strange's knowledge of Batman's identity by killing him off. I'm conflicted on this bit. I didn't mind having Strange be the head of Protocol 10. Ra's working from the shadows while fitting for him does take away from Strange's role in the story. But I do understand that's one way of dealing with Hugo knowing Bruce's identity. With Protocol 10 dealt with, we now have our showdown with Joker, who got the drop on Talia at some point. Talia takes Joker out, or does she? We get the main character looks back on past hints like at the end of a Saw movie.
It's over.
Surprise!
Mr. J, you look perfect.
Ring, ring! So how do you keep a secret from the world's greatest detective? Well, do you know? You stick it right in front of him, right under his long, pointy nose. And wait.
Joker wants you to think he's sick. Then wait. Gotcha.
You fell for the old fake Joker gag, Batman.
Talia!
Oh. I'm sorry, beloved. I didn't know.
Clayface has been impersonating Joker. And you know what? This is a great twist. All the pieces are there beforehand. Very obvious on a repeat playthrough when you know what to look for.
It's not you, is it?
Quiet, honey.
If I have to wager why some feel the story of Arkham City is the best in the series, this moment and what follows plays a major role. But when you look past the twist and everything that came before, you can see how flimsy the plot is. We have a decent if unremarkable fight against a transformed Clayface. And with that, Joker has one more laugh and a great send-off to the character. A scene that says so much about the relationship between the two.
Quick! Sure! What are you waiting for? Come on! I killed your girlfriend, poison Gotham in hell. It's not even breakfast. But so what? We all know you'll save me.
Every decision you've ever made ends with death and misery. People die. I stop you. You'll just break out and do it again.
Think of it as a running gag. No! Are you happy now?
Do you want to know something funny? Even after everything you've done, I would have saved you.
You know, that actually is pretty funny.
And that wraps up Arkham City. Well, not exactly. There's also the quality DLC with Robin looking for Batman while dealing with a grieving Harley. We could still go through Arkham City and clear out anything else we missed. To do so, we have one more Catwoman section to complete, one in which she deals with Two-Face, which is an utter momentum killer after what happened before. The same goes for the shift in tone. While the section is fine on its own, it still puts a ding on what's a memorable ending. I've been pretty harsh on the story for Arkham City. The thing is, it's a blast to go through and play. It has several great scenes and moments. The issue is how these moments flow from one to the next. Cases of convenience piling up on one another, or Batman acting like an idiot to advance the plot. And the fact that you have two plot threads where each is more than enough to carry a game's story. Protocol 10 gets the short end of the stick while Batman goes on a wild goose chase finding a cure for Joker. Urgency starts and stops at various points. These plot threads don't flow with one another, but instead bump into each other. Compare this to, say, The Dark Knight, how the Joker and Harvey Dent's arcs worked with one another. I've given some thought of how to address this issue. Something that would flow better. I would keep Protocol 10 as the main focus throughout. Have the reveal earlier. Have Batman deal with Strange and his forces, along with the Rogues Gallery along the way. Have Strange put targets on supercriminals and have Batman intervene. Hugo can always hold Batman's identity as a trump card throughout. Joker can even be an uneasy ally at times, pushing Batman and Freeze with urgency for a cure in exchange for helping them with Protocol 10. Keep him more to the side until the end of the story, where you can still do a good send-off. Whether a victim of Protocol 10 or the Titan formula finally getting to him. You could even have Joker kill Strange as he's about to reveal who Batman is. If there's anyone who would do that, it would be him.
But I want to know who he is, sweetie.
No one's who you think they are, my dear. Why spoil the fun?
They had something here with Hugo Strange, more of a deeper cut from the Rogues Gallery at the forefront. It's too bad they didn't do more with him here. The series did get too reliant on Joker as a crutch, as we'll see moving forward with the next two titles. And hey, for good reason, the Joker is such an iconic character. Mark Hamill knocks out of the park each time. He's always a delight to have on screen. As great as Arkham City is, having him take the limelight from Protocol 10 and Hugo Strange puts a large dent in the story. Plot issues aside, I still think it's the best game in the series. The evolution and refinements over Asylum are staggering. Yes, some of the original strengths vanished due to the shift in the open world. That said, their take on the open world formula is so strong it's not a huge detriment. It's a monumental leap from the strong foundations Asylum set. Plus, it also gave us the best/worst Game of the Year box cover ever. In regards to making large improvements, they would do the same with Arkham Knight, although it would introduce new problems into the fold. But while Rocksteady took the time to work on Knight, WB Games Montreal would get a crack at the series, telling a tale of Batman around 8 years prior to the events of Asylum.
You were very cordially, you were very cordially invited to a party.
And it will be a grand affair.
Grand affair, and it will be a grand affair hosted by the Hatter.
We do hope that you can come.
You can come. We do hope that you can come to share in all the joy.
Arkham Origins is the worst game in the franchise. That said, it's not a large drop in quality compared to the Rocksteady titles. WB Games Montreal did a great job putting their mark on the formula. It doesn't make the leaps between Asylum and City, or City to Night. It makes some small tweaks to what Arkham City laid down. Some core elements like combat or exploration have some issues, but there were some nice iterations, like how crime scenes do a much better job of showing Batman's detective skills. The quality of boss fights is at a much higher standard than the other titles. While the plot does have a few issues, it's my favorite plot of the 4 games. It's a great look into the early days of Batman, one key night that would change his trajectory. There are plenty of great character moments, and Batman sees growth as a character. Ones that feel consistent and justified and not like they dropped his IQ a few points to advance the plot. He's more brash, hard-headed, and arrogant. He makes mistakes along the way, but learns his lessons. And while they go to the Joker well once again, there's great integration of how the Rogues Gallery of this one night plays out. I haven't played Origins before making this video. I've heard over the years from its proponents and its detractors, and while it's the weakest of the Arkham series, it's not a major drop-off. It sits well with the others.
What is that? Behind you!
Oh, come on. Expect me to fall for that? I mean, try something original. What the hell are you?
Arkham Origins takes place 8 years before the events of Asylum. Bruce is in year number 2 as Batman. At this point, only Alfred is helping him. Even then, Bruce drags him into it. It's less of a partnership. Batman is still a rumor to many. For a nice change of pace, we have a cutscene and jump right into the action. No walking and talking to start things off. It's Christmas Eve. Batman heads to Blackgate to deal with a prison breakout. This will serve as our tutorial. Batman is far more aggressive, more ruthless, and reckless in his younger years.
I'm going to make you talk. How much pain you endure before that is in your hands.
Oh, no.
I don't have time for this.
Okay. He said to the execution chamber. With Loeb.
Smart move. Now you get to take a nap.
Instead of Kevin Conroy, they brought in Mr. Boulder Punch himself, Roger Craig Smith, to voice a younger Batman. Someone who is more than up to the task and does a great job. He's far less patient in dealing with the thugs of Gotham. It's noticeable throughout cutscenes and dialogue, along with interrogating thugs.
Time to talk. Where's Cobblepot?
Let it go!
If you insist.
I was sick of playing heavy. I figured if Kane, disappeared, I might be able to move up in the world.
You're not moving anywhere now.
Gordon isn't commissioner yet. It's the corrupt Loeb. Black Mask, with Killer Croc in tow, has kidnapped him. Black Mask tosses him into the gas chamber. Batman is too late to save him. Black Mask has put a $50 million bounty on Batman. We get an introduction of who to expect from the Rogues Gallery. Some returning faces, others new.
His name is Killer Croc. He's already behind bars.
Whew, I pity his cellmate.
I don't. Let's see what else is on the drone's hard drive.
Each of them gets one of these envelopes. I need them delivered tonight.
They're all hired killers, the best in the business. Black Mask isn't messing around. Slade Wilson, Deathstroke, former military, subject of a failed medical experiment.
Failed, you say?
Garfield Linz, aka Firefly, burns on 90% of his body. His obsession is going to be his end.
How unlike anyone I know.
Here's a face I don't recognize. Copperhead. Strange. These reports reference a male, not a female.
14 escapes, huh? Well, you won't forget, not what the...
Floyd Lawton, aka Deadshot. Says here he's an expert sharpshooter.
How on earth?
Suspected of many assassinations. Dangerous, but reckless. Street tough named Lester Baczynski. Calls himself Electrocutioner.
Shocking.
Shiva. Her skill is unmatched. Bane, here in Gotham. Why would he be taking money as a hired killer?
Is that Warden Joseph?
Must be how Black Mask got inside the prison. He uses torture for intimidation and entertainment.
8 assassins after your head. What are you going to do?
I'm going to find out who is operating this drone.
Make them tell me what they know. Then I'm going to find Black Mask and put an end to this.
Arkham Origins expands on the open world map of City. I mean that in a literal sense. It reuses the map of City with a few tweaks, along with a new area south of the bridge. This is over 8 years before. This area of Gotham wasn't yet abandoned. Area reuse in sequels can always be a contentious issue, but I have no issues with it here. It's not a one-to-one replication. There are some differences, like a freighter in the northeast section. Besides, it's not like that's all we have. There's a section south of the long bridge that connects the two sections. The south section is fine, but it doesn't have the memorability of the northern portion. It doesn't have the same level of care put into it. We can unlock fast travel at key locations once we deal with a Riddler challenge, or Enigma as he goes by here.
Watching you figure that one out was a real treat. I'll make sure the next one is even more provocative.
This isn't a game, Enigma.
Oh, but it is. And one you're more than welcome to stop playing. Now you need to stop interfering with my work. Tackling these towers is one thing, but my handlers, my data, my network relays, those aren't meant for you, so back off!
Even then, it's not like it's a long journey through gliding around. You can now propel yourself forward while grappling to continue your glide uninterrupted. That said, one issue I had with Origins is grappling points. There were several times while gliding where I felt I should have a grappling point that should show up, but it wouldn't. I never had this issue with City or the forthcoming Arkham Knight. It's one of those fundamental areas that Origins stumbles when compared to the Rocksteady titles. Why are these streets cleared safe for thugs? A few factors. There's a snowstorm. There's been a prison breakout at Blackgate. It's Christmas Eve. There's a curfew. More than enough for a gameplay reason to keep the streets clear of innocents. Origins does the classic gaming trick of adding a layer of comfort with a winter time frame. If you ever want to give a game or level a more comforting feeling, add snow. It does help to evoke that feeling of Batman Returns, also set during Christmas. Even within this layer of comfort, there is a darkness to Origins that's different from the other titles, a different kind of atmosphere. The major pieces in the Batman lore have yet to have a placement, something this one night will change. You can also return to the Batcave in a nice addition. Sure, we had the Batcave in Asylum, but that was just a brief couple of stops. It wasn't the main Batcave. City didn't exactly allow us the chance to come here. It's nice to drop by to chat with Alfred, look around, and train at our leisure. At this point in the timeline, Batman is still a rumor to many. Some have claimed to see him, others aren't sure he exists. We could hear thugs discuss this throughout. Of course, we can confirm the existence by dropping in. Combat only has a few small tweaks in Arkham Origins. Beyond a couple of different gadgets, there's not much to note in differences from Arkham City. Instead, it's the foundations that feel different. Something that doesn't feel as tight. And for a while, I had trouble putting my finger on why. There's one early combat gauntlet on the freighter that gave me trouble. I fired up Origins right after completing City, so why was this an issue? There is a slight difference in the rhythm of combat in Origins. Feels at times like it's off tempo. There were times when I felt like I should have got hidden before a thug did. Whenever I screwed up in the prior titles, that was on me, and for the most part, that does continue with Origins. But there would be at times where I didn't feel that was the case. It's one of those issues that I find a bit tricky to convey, but you could feel while playing. Sure, you could say, well, this is Batman in his earlier days, fighting like a young man with nothing held back. More reckless and not quite as skilled. He does feel more sluggish. Thugs have more of a chance against him, but that feels like a cop-out. There's something here that's a bit off tempo. It's not a huge detriment to Origins. It doesn't drag the game down too much, but it is noticeable. It's something that takes some time to get used to. One late game addition is the shot gloves. Once you build up enough of a combo to use them, it's more or less press punch to win. Too bad he didn't keep these for later in the series. The way they could break through even the toughest of enemy defenses is a power trip. I have to know it's a bit of a missed opportunity to have Batman using more primitive gear in his earlier days. And again, removing elements of what came before in the series would result in frustration. But some abilities do take longer to unlock than prior games, and that's with a shift to the Dark Knight Challenges system. This system is a bit of a mixed bag. You can unlock some abilities after a side quest. For example, completing the Lady Shiva side quest gives you the Critical Strike ability. Some require the completion of specific tasks to unlock further abilities. I do like the incentive to complete these challenges. It gave me a reason to do the AR challenges, something I tended to ignore in City to unlock more grapple traversal options and takedowns. That said, for the Dark Knight challenges, you need to do them in order. You can't complete a challenge unless you've done others prior. Something that's a bit of an annoyance. But as a whole, I do like this addition. It helps give justification for Batman in his younger years of what he's able to do. Stealth has some small tweaks, most due to the changes in Batman's gear. One is the remote claw. This gadget offers a lot of fun and amusement. You could use it to string up a thug like you can with an inverted takedown, only without Batman pulling them up. You could string two thugs together to knock them off balance, or you could string an explosive to a thug for an instant knockout. One of the notable improvements in Arkham Origins comes from the detective system. It helps give that feeling of Batman being the world's greatest detective, something that was lacking in City and had sparse usage in Asylum. Now, the game does most of the heavy lifting. Find the point of interest in the environment. Things get more interesting with the reconstruction of the crime. We rewind and fast forward to find the points of interest. It's simple in gameplay, but the presentation does wonders of seeing Batman's detective skills in action. Let him take care of the rest and put things together.
This is where Ramo was killed. DNA evidence indicates the car was traveling at a high rate of speed, but the angle of spatter shows the driver lost control and the car was weaving. I should review the crime scene, see if anything else was hit.
The system receives major usage throughout Origins, through side quests and the critical path. It brings the detective side of Batman to the forefront. While we have the 8 assassins to deal with, other baddies from the Rogues Gallery appear. Like Penguin. He's one of our first stops along the critical path. He and his gang reside in the freighter in the northeast section. Here we run into one of the 8 assassins, Electrocutioner. As mentioned earlier, this is my first time playing Arkham Origins. I've heard good things about the boss fights. Let's see how this one goes. Okay, that was pretty funny. After interrogating Penguin for info on Black Mask, we fight Deathstroke, one of the 8 assassins. I've heard a lot about this fight over the years. A showing of Origin's strengths. It's able to strip things down to the very basics in this one-on-one fight. Sure, at points it is a glorified QTE, but it is a great showing of WB Montreal's talents. The Arkham combat system favors group encounters. For the studio to overcome these shortcomings and make a satisfying one-on-one duel goes to show the talent they had. Of the 8 assassins, not all are along the critical path. Shiva has a stretch of side quests throughout. The same goes for Deadshot. This side quest end is a stealth section, a room full of him and his gang. You know, for the so-called world's most deadly assassin, you'd think he'd look up more often.
I'm starting to enjoy this.
I get it, they have to make compromises with how gameplay works. In that case, why not pick another villain from the Rogues Gallery instead? Mad Hatter, while not one of the 8 assassins, has a great side quest. Like Arkham City, we once again fall into his world. You can see the heavy influence of the Scarecrow sections from Arkham Asylum. The shifting camera angles do a great job of evoking the feeling of falling deeper down the rabbit hole.
Look at you running in circles. Just remember, left is right and up is down. Oh, wasn't it? Right is down and left is up. Oh.
The ending of this side quest is haunting. It's one of the darkest moments in the series. We've saved the girl, but how much damage did Jervis do to her?
Don't worry, you're safe now. The police are on their way. Everything's going to be all right.
No, it's not.
From the info we obtained from Penguin, we head to one of Black Mask's safe houses to investigate a crime scene. It seems that Black Mask died here amongst the other victims, but that doesn't add up. Batman saw Black Mask earlier in the night. This crime took place a few days ago. Also, there's mention of someone Batman isn't familiar with, but will be soon.
She was sending text messages to Roman Sionis about someone named the Joker. Someone killed Black Mask. But this crime took place several days ago, and I saw Black Mask earlier tonight. The only answers I have raise more questions. Who is the Joker? Was he the killer here? Or is he one of the assassins?
To continue this investigation, Batman needs access to the National Criminal Database. Something you'd think he'd have on hand by now. We can find this at the GCPD. We need to hack their servers to access it. It needs to be a physical hack. A bit sloppy in storytelling, but it gives us a reason to visit the GCPD, which is in disarray in the death of Loeb. It's full of crooked cops. Gordon and Batman have yet to become allies.
I don't want to hurt you, but you need to stay out of my way.
Never.
Listen, I'm on your side.
My side? My side works within the law. My side doesn't leave suspects with broken bones and missing teeth. We've earned Gotham's respect.
If that were true, I wouldn't be.
Gordon, clear the line of fire! Hold your fire. If he moves, take him down.
Batman also meets Barbara in a funny scene. I can't remember the last time I heard someone say pwn.
Cool pwn box. You're bypassing the network security. But you'll need to physically bridge the intranet to the external telecom wires if you want to uplink remotely.
This kind of knowledge could get a young girl into a lot of trouble.
With the criminal database in hand, Batman heads off to Gotham's merchant bank. And it's here we learn about the Black Mask that we saw earlier.
Think you can just waltz into my bank, huh?
Roman, I'm here for the Joker.
The Joker? Never heard of him. How about you, dog? Know the Joker?
The who?
And you, sir? Name Joker ring a bell?
You son of a bitch! You think you can steal from me? I got away with it! You're a dead man. Dead!
You just play along!
You're insane!
It's been you this whole time. You hired the assassins. You've been running Sionis' operation.
Well, technically it's my operation now. Isn't that right, boys?
There are some conflicting elements in this scene. In one case, it's a great introduction to Joker as a character. Batman's first encounter with him face to face. As they did with Kevin Conroy, they switched voices for a younger Joker, that being Troy Baker. This was the time frame like Nolan North a few years prior, where it seemed like you couldn't play a game without Troy voicing someone. This isn't his first role in the series. He voiced Two-Face and Robin in Arkham City. Like Roger Craig Smith, he does a great job stepping into the shoes of such an iconic character. I mentioned earlier there's a different vibe to Arkham Origins and its atmosphere, beyond the Christmas setting. Scenes like this feel less comic book inspired and more inspired by the Batman films. Of course, the issue with this scene arises in the shifting in agency and importance. They shuffle Black Mask off to the side to make Joker the main focus. As this is an origin story, having Joker is key. But it's similar to how Joker took the limelight away from Protocol 10. That said, here he hijacks the main plot thread. It's not a case of clashing with a separate one. One idea that popped into my mind is they could have kept Black Mask as the one placing the bounty. Joker intervenes later because he realizes how much Batman completes him. Going to find the real Black Mask, Copperhead gets the drop on Batman, poisoning him. While Alfred puts together an antidote, Batman begins to hallucinate. His fears and doubts emerge, but in a different way than from Scarecrow's fear toxin.
What would your father say if he could see you now, throwing away your family's hard-earned fortune on these frivolous nightly escapades? And for what? You're not this city's savior. You're a Wayne, and a spoiled, wasteful disappointment of a Wayne at that.
You let me die. How many more must perish before you realize? Savior, you're a curse upon this city, a plague on all of Gotham. Leave us alone!
The boss fight against her is well done. Batman does his best as the poison continues to wear him down. She doesn't get a ton of screen time, but they make the most out of Copperhead's limited appearance. Batman heads to the Royal Hotel where Joker is residing, along with some of the other assassins. This is one of the best showings of the Christmas atmosphere of Origins. All the decorations, all the falling snow. As mentioned earlier, it adds a layer of comfort to the atmosphere, one juxtaposed to the darker tone of the story. Joker has had his run with the place, setting up a funhouse for us to platform through. How much time did this take him to put together? It's a palate cleanser of a platforming section. It's fine, but this kind of platforming has never been the series' strength. There's a fun stretch on the roof where we get a different angle to combat. Vicky Vale in the chopper gets Batman on film, something that has yet to happen. It's too bad this fight doesn't go longer from this perspective. It's a nice change of pace. There's a great short exchange between Batman and Alfred. He pleads for Batman to reach out to Gordon, but Batman refuses. He's still a lone bat here.
Sir, I've just seen the explosion at the Gotham Royal on the news. The hotel guests, are they safe?
Not now, Alfred.
Sir, are you all right? Your voice...
I'm fine, Alfred. I've dealt with psychopaths before, but this...
Sir, I strongly suggest you call in Captain Gordon. He could be a valuable ally for you.
I don't need any allies.
Bane gets the drop on Batman when he heads up to the top of the hotel. I mentioned a few times earlier in the video that Origins does Bane justice, both on a character front and a boss front. Instead of the hulking brute, he's cold and calculating. While his boss fight is one of the lesser fights in the game, it's a vast improvement over the one in Asylum. A much better showing of integrating a boss amongst wave of thugs.
Your attention, Batman!
Oh, come on, at least make a fight out of it. I want my money's worth. $50 million worth.
The GCPD comes roaring in. Bane shoots Joker with a rocket launcher, sending him flying off the roof. Batman saves him.
Why would you do that? Newsflash! I'm the one who's trying to kill you! Those were two very, very bad men. Oh, the things they've done. You really don't want to know. They deserved death. Just like me.
Freeze! Don't move, freak!
I think he's talking to you.
Take him down!
Gordon places Joker under arrest and takes him to Blackgate. It's funny that the cops think Batman and Joker are allies.
Where'd he go? Huh? The bat. Your partner. My partner?
Who else would jump off a building to save your sorry ass?
You know, officer. I was wondering the same thing myself.
We get a game highlight where we play as Joker. With the off-tilt camera angles and a chat with Harleen Quinzel in the background, we get some Joker backstory. It's vague and it's telling, and you never know with the Joker what's fact and what's fiction.
Fate.
You want to know something funny? I used to think of fate as evil. Predetermined, not by some higher power, no, but by the rules of human nature. Tonight, it's all changed.
What's changed?
Have you ever had the feeling that your entire life has been building towards this one moment?
I love how Joker is talking about Batman here, while Harleen thinks he's talking about her. A great first meeting between the two.
Can you tell me more about how this person makes you feel?
It's like meeting someone I can actually relate to. Which, believe me, dear, I've never felt before. You understand. You're someone who's not afraid to let go and fall. Free falling, and I didn't pack a chute. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes, I do.
I figured you would.
So, may I ask, who is this person?
Oh, someone very, very special.
but whose real name I don't even know yet.
My name's Holleen. Holleen Quinzel.
What a pretty name. Do your friends call you Honey?
Oh, I don't have a lot of friends.
Well, Honey, you got one now.
Now, if you listen to the Arkham Asylum tapes, this is a continuity error or a retcon. This is different from their first meeting on the tapes we find there. To be fair, if you look at Hugo Strange's bio in Arkham Asylum, it states that he knows Batman's identity and that Batman is aware of it. Something that conflicts with what we see in Arkham City. It's not a huge issue because it's such a great scene, but something to note. As great as that Joker stretch is, what follows is one of my favorite scenes in the series. Returning to the Batcave, Batman is struggling. The night's events have pushed him to his limits. He's never come across anyone like the Joker. Instead of calling it a night per Alfred's advice, he decides to go after Bane. At this point, Alfred has had enough.
Bruce, I will not in good conscience allow you to go. You're outmatched by these assassins. You're not some hardened vigilante. You're a young man with a trust fund and too much anger. You're in over your head, and I don't want this to be your end.
Alfred, who do you see when you look at me? The boy whose shoes you used to tie every morning? The teenager you drove to his first date? While you are here every night, I am out there. The only thing between the innocent and the predator. No, not may be. I am. When the mugger or the thief stops to think twice, that is fear. That is what I am. That is why they hired assassins, because I am the reason the criminals breathe easier when the sun rises. So no, Alfred, I am not in over my head. Tonight will be my end, but it will be theirs.
It's one of those scenes you could only do in the early days of Batman. Yes, Batman is always stubborn when it comes to what he's capable of, but it's different here. There's an anger, an arrogance left unchecked. Despite his pleas, Batman carries on with the night. One of the reasons this scene works so well is how it sets up a future one. It doesn't come across as Batman dropping his IQ to advance the plot, something Arkham City fell victim to. Instead, he's in over his head in his younger years. There's a lot of wisdom that he's yet to gain. There's a lot of allies he's yet to bring in. Tracking down Bane leads to his lair. Bane isn't there, but Batman makes a discovery. Bane seems to have put 2 and 2 together. Batman orders Alfred to secure himself in the Batcave. Firefly, one of the 8 assassins, has rigged the bridge with bombs. Batman needs to deal with him first. The Firefly boss is a much improved version of the Poison Ivy fight from Asylum, a mixture of using various gadgets to whittle him down. It's here we see the foundations of Gordon and Batman's alliance forming.
You didn't listen.
I'm not big on taking orders from wanted men.
I'm not big on taking orders from cops. I should have gotten to that last bomb.
Yeah. And I should have given you access to that security door. But between the two of us, we covered it pretty well.
While dealing with Firefly, Bane infiltrated Wayne Manor. The Batcave is in ruins. He's too late, or so it seems. Time to put those shock gloves into action besides knocking around thugs.
Alfred, you can't.
Don't add me to the weight you carry.
Come on, damn it.
All units, code 10. This is code 10 confirmed at Blackgate Prison. Suspect identified as the Joker.
You're going to be all right.
It's here where Bruce learns a powerful lesson. Alfred, as always, provides words of wisdom. This time, Bruce listens.
Master Bruce, now is not the time for doubt.
I can't do it. I can't stop them.
No, you can't. Not on your own, but it's high time you realize that you are a man, not an island. And a man's strength comes not from just brawn and intelligence, but also from his allies.
C1 alert. The Joker has escaped from his cell and is leading the riots at Blackgate. Repeat, the Joker has taken over the entire prison. Multiple casualties, multiple hostages. Again, we have lost Blackgate. Captain Gordon is calling on anyone for assistance.
They need you.
No. They need us.
It's such a great arc of Batman's growth. Working alone, dragging Alfred along, he's pushed to his limits, to the point where Alfred is at death's door. But moving forward, he knows he's not alone. There are those willing to help his cause. Alfred becomes more of a partner than before. He's open to working with Gordon and the police. Again, it's not a case of Batman's IQ dropping to advance the plot. Instead, it's Batman's hard-headed and arrogant nature of his early days getting in his way. Through a night of facing challenges he's never faced before, it changes the trajectory of his future. While still stubborn and hard-headed, he'll grow his list of allies as the years go by. All things considered, Joker has taken over Blackgate in a comically short time frame. The way the prison looks, you'd think it had been days or weeks. Sure, he is the Joker and all, but it does cause a blip in the suspension of disbelief. We'll have a rematch against a juiced-up Bane. It's a bit silly in this fight how he could give us the old backbreaker, but Batman gets up like nothing happened.
Your life is mine.
Phase 2 sees Bane juiced to the gills. It's a claustrophobic stealth final encounter. It's like the Mr. Freeze boss fight in our options. Bane will remove them as the fight progresses. There are fewer options as well, like no vantage points. And juicing out Bane allows for the plot convenience of Bane forgetting who Batman is. To finish things off, Batman finds Joker in the prison chapel. This is a narrative fight. A great final exchange on their first night of meeting.
Oh, this rage, all directed at me, and for what? You know, if you'd actually let me finish a sentence, you might learn something! You might learn that we're not so different. Is all this for you, or for me? You must know I'm lost cause, but there's still hope for you. Yes, I've got great hopes for you. So come on, do stop now! What are you waiting for?
It also shows what happens when you zoom in too close to a beatdown. Sure, beatdowns can look comical from a distance, but zoomed in, you can see how jumpy the animations are for it. Gordon gives a great closing monologue to wrap things up.
I keep asking myself why I didn't bring him in. And I now know the truth is, I let him go because of you. Because you believe in him. I don't know. They put me in charge of a station full of rotten cops. And I can't change them. Any more than I can change this damn city. Or at least, that's what I used to think.
Stopped his heart. That is funny. Good one, Bats. Oh, this is going to be fun.
Maybe I can give them something to believe in. Maybe he can give them something to believe in.
Putting my thoughts together for this video reviewing the footage of Origins, it's by far the best narrative offering in the series. Sure, it does have some issues, and it could have trimmed down on the Rogues Gallery for a tighter focus. The twist with Joker gets in the way and takes away from Black Mask's character. But how Batman changes throughout this one night and how Joker plays a part is well executed, something that the rest of the series couldn't reach. There's also a post-credit teaser.
Figured you'd be by sooner or later. And what happens if I don't sign?
You rot in here, or you work for me.
Wonder how that will turn out. The DLC, Cold Cold Heart, looks into the origins of Mr. Freeze. It's another great showing from WB Montreal. Mr. Freeze drops into a party at Wayne Manor, looking for Ferris Boyle. Before getting the Batsuit, we get another comical bit of Bruce not exactly holding back against intruders. I love the bit where you could talk to Alfred as Batman with others around.
Sir, are you all right?
Thanks to you, the hero of Christmas Eve come to rescue us from the...
Can I trust you'll get these people to safety?
Of course. Now that you've dealt with most of these hooligans...
You should restore power to your sprinkler system to deal with these fires.
Not to worry. I won't allow Wayne Manor to burn to the ground.
The DLC makes great use of the crime scene mechanic to piece together the origins of Mr. Freeze and his wife Nora's condition. Our final encounter with Freeze plays out like the one in Arkham City. He'll become wise to our various takedowns. For further hurdles, armed thugs man the room. That said, the room doesn't have the same level of polish that City did for Freeze. It's a lesser version of a great fight. Despite the strengths of Origins, it still is the worst in the series, but it's not a large drop by any stretch. It's only a small iteration on the Arkham City formula. It's nowhere near the jump between Asylum and City or Tonight. There are foundational issues not found in the Rocksteady titles, like the flow of combat. Still, it offers a great experience that sits well along the Rocksteady output. The quality of boss fights across the board is far higher. The plot of A Notable Night in Batman's earlier days is a great showing of the Caped Crusader. It's a great showing of WB Montreal stepping up in place while Rocksteady worked on Arkham Knight. And that extra time given to Rocksteady is evident throughout Arkham Knight, in most ways for the better, with a few major hiccups along the way.
What the hell? Someone took them all out.
It was that stinking bat-faced loser!
Arkham Knight is a frustrating title. At times, it's by far the best the series has to offer. They push the combat system to its absolute limits. Stealth sections see major leaps in offerings and improvements. Gliding around the city of Gotham is as fun as it is dazzling. There are portions of the plot that work well as a series send-off to Batman. Yet, Knight offers some of the most frustrating experiences in the series. The Batmobile, which well designed with plenty of polish, clashes with the rest of the game. As much as they got right with it, the Batmobile sections fall well short of the rest of the game's offerings. The Batmobile gets plenty of mileage along the critical path in its side quests. As a result, it pushes some of these strengths to the wayside so it gets its time in the sun, sections that are some of the weakest in the series. The plot, like Arkham City, is quite messy, but in a different way. Plot threads drop from City or end with a whimper. A mysterious new foe with an identity that you could see from a mile away. While there are great moments of capping off the journey of Batman in this world, how it gets there is shaky. When it's firing on all cylinders, Knight offers the highest of highs. Yet when it's not, it has the lowest of this series' lows. The end result is an inconsistent title. It's the reason why I find Arkham City to be the superior title, the sum being greater than its parts.
I'm sure that you're scared of what will happen when I tear that mask from your face. What will we find? Your true identity? Or proof that without your mask, you are nothing. Impotent, powerless, afraid.
Knight kicks off with Frank Sinatra's rendition of I've Got You Under My Skin, a fitting song of what's to come. With the push of a button, we cremate the Joker.
This is how it happened. This is how the Batman died.
It's Halloween night several months later. As a Gotham City cop, we step into a diner for a meal. all in the first person. A fellow patron mentions a strange figure in the corner. Officer Owens is in for a rude awakening.
Excuse me, sir. There's no smoking in here.
Scarecrow has returned with a chemical attack. This was but a small taste of what he has in store for Gotham. This results in the evacuation of Gotham City beyond the cops and the criminals. A good justification from a gameplay standpoint to keep the streets clear of innocents. With that overlooking the city, we now switch to Batman. It's interesting to note that they have us play as Officer Owens in the first person instead of a cutscene. It's effective in giving us a first-hand look at Scarecrow's fear toxin. We now have a much larger space to work with in Arkham Knight. 3 islands with bridges between. Of course, who needs roads when you have the skies? The gliding system received a major overhaul to accommodate the larger space. Like Arkham Origins, you can now use the grapple to shoot forward and continue gliding. Here, Batman shoots off with far greater force, especially once you upgrade its capability. You'll launch like a dart and can cover the city in no time. There's far less need to dive bomb and glide up to keep in the air. Unlike Origins, I never had any issues finding grapple points. It's a sheer joy to take flight in Arkham Knight. Another reason for this sheer joy is through the visuals. My goodness, almost 9 years later, this game still dazzles. Few games can compare. Yes, it is a fidelity marvel. Rocksteady made heavy tweaks to Unreal Engine 3 to achieve this, but the strong art direction, something the series has always excelled in, does plenty of heavy lifting. I do have to note that they went for a more photorealistic approach in Knight. It has less of that comic feel from the prior titles. Not a huge overhaul, but one that's noticeable. One that does cause more visual clarity issues, but I'll cover that later. It's proof of what a talented team and strong art direction are capable of. And you can see that shift with Gotham Knights and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. There's a reason the videos covering the distances and detail compared to Arkham Knight got plenty of views. Of course, I have to note that they suspended sales on PC for a few months after launch due to poor performance here. Rocksteady outsourced the PC port. These issues cleared up within a few months, but it is a notable blip in the series. Arkham Knight goes above and beyond in increasing combat options, from attacks, gadgets, and enemy types, to the point where it may even been a bit too much. One small addition I love is being able to grab an enemy off the ground to continue a combo. Sure, you could do the ground takedown, but this creates space away from other thugs. Something that gives you time to deliver the beatdown. If they close that gap, a counter is always there. Another great addition are the environmental takedowns. It's one of those, well, duh additions. If you're in range of an object allowing for it, it's an instant knockout, regardless of enemy type. Very handy in situations of wanting to remove tougher enemies from the equation. These takedowns are pretty brutal. You can now grab enemy weapons to use, like bats. No, not that kind of bat. A baseball bat. Although Batman sometimes makes a big show and dance in grabbing it, leaving you open to an attack. It was inconsistent when he would do this. Another great addition is these special gadget takedowns. These are an addition on top of the other choices you have once you build your combo up. These can be great for crowd control, like zapping or freezing a group of enemies. And the special Batclaw slam is even more satisfying. In some fights, Batman won't be alone. In tow will be Catwoman, Nightwing, or Robin. You can jump back and forth between the two in a seamless fashion. Build up your meter for combined group takedown, which switches to the other character.
Time for a new face, Robin.
Along with these additions, you can also play as Batgirl and Harley Quinn, whether in combat challenges or the DLCs. They all have their different gadget lineups and rhythms. Harley has a fitting shift in how she handles combat and stealth, along with the presentation. It says a lot about her character.
Appreciate your dumbness. Makes my job easier.
Arkham Knight continues to amp up the size of combat encounters, along with enemy types. One notable type is the medic. As the name suggests, they can revive those who have fallen during combat. Now earlier I said they may have gone a bit too far with combat. There are a few reasons for this. One is due to the shift in graphics. With the more photorealistic approach, there is a drop in visual clarity. Not a ton, but it is noticeable. In large encounters, I would take a bit longer to get a lay of the land. When there are large numbers and you're flying around, it can be easy to lose focus for a brief moment, one that results in a hit from a thug. To be fair, this is most noticeable with combat challenges, where they throw everything in the kitchen sink at you. There are points where Batman would make questionable choices of who he'd attack next. He'd leap across the room to deal with a gun despite a dozen thugs in the way. I didn't come across these issues during the campaign, where numbers are fewer. Still, it's worth noting, something that wasn't present in Arkham City. Despite these shortcomings, the additions outweigh them, to the point where I can't help but wonder where they would take the combat with another iteration. How much farther could they push it? As far as pushing gameplay systems, Rocksteady stepped it up for stealth. Going from Arkham to City and Origins had small improvements to stealth. Knight piles on a large batch of changes, building on that foundation. Most notable once you reach the endgame when the entire arsenal is at your fingertips. One of Knight's more notable additions is the Fear Takedown, something you could use in combat while laying down smoke, but more of an option during Predator encounters. String together instant takedowns up to a handful. Leap from one thug to the next. It's not quiet, but it's a way to clear out a room in short order. Yes, the game does the heavy lifting, but it's oh so satisfying and a great showing of what Batman can do. That said, it can be a bit inconsistent at times in pulling off. Thugs need to line up in the right way to do so. There are times where I thought I'd be able to have the option, but it wasn't there. Another change is enemies no longer use heart monitors. Instead, enemies will do periodic status reports, checking in on others, like something out of the Metal Gear Solid series. Depending on how you pick them off, they'll become more aware and place traps to hinder your progress, like mines onto vantage points or vents. Speaking of vents, I do appreciate how Knight shows the vent outlines. It gives you an idea of where you are and where you could go without needing to jump into first person. An upgraded disruptor can lead to a lot of fun and amusing scenarios. Not only can you jam a gun, but a couple of shots with the disruptor causes a gun to explode in a thug's face. An instant knockout. It was so much fun to drop down in front of them, spook them, have them go for a shot, and have their plan blow up in their face.
There's just one left, Batman. Stop playing around and finish him. We got plenty more.
Another great disruptor trick is using it on a medic. When they try to revive a downed ally, it will shock them for a knockout. Of course, these militia throw more hurdles our way with their gadgets, like how they can track you down if you use detective vision for too long. Once again, you can turn the tables on them with the disruptor. They're in for a surprise when they get a read on your position. Or if you want, you can give them the old "he's right behind me, isn't he" treatment.
This doesn't make any sense. It says he's right behind me.
Another great addition is the remote hacking device. It allows you to hack various objects in the environment, like the drones some enemies control. You could set off distractions, explosives, or shut doors on people. The side quest of stopping Two-Face's crew in the Gotham Bank is the best showing. Speed up that escalator or drop a chandelier on them. Man, those look pretty hefty. Are you sure that isn't going to kill them, Bruce? Topping off the great additions is the voice synthesizer. This allows you to mimic the voice of the crew's leader, like Harley Quinn or the Arkham Knight. You can order enemies around, check a weapons crate that you rig with the disruptor, stand next to a weak wall on which you plant an explosive, get them to go near an object you could hack to take them out. Of course, you can only use this trick a couple times before they catch on to what you're doing.
Check that weapons crate! But, well, I think they're masochists. Enjoy! Now, boys, just
These further additions give far more opportunities to how you want to pick thugs off. It offers far more options for chaining takedowns together. You could clear out a room or most of it without Batman laying a finger on anyone. Set off a chain of events and watch from a distance. Rig a weapons crate with your disruptor. Send an enemy to check it out with the voice synthesizer. With them knocked out, use the disruptor on the medic, taking them out when they try to revive their fallen ally. Use the remote hacking device to set off an explosive that a thug walks past. Use the disruptor to set off the gun to explode when you drop in front of a frightened thug. Not that the prior games didn't give you ample time for preparation, but they went all out for Knight, and I'm all for it. Your foes have more ways to counteract these plans, but on top of that, you could turn these plans against them. A few months back, YouTube seemed to favor Arkham Knight stealth runs in the algorithm. Videos under 5 minutes in length of incredible stealth clearouts. A sheer level of skill and creativity on display. They played a large part in me deciding to make a video on the series. Again, like Combat, I have to wonder how much further they could push the stealth system with another iteration. Where could they go from here? Speaking of going, let's talk about the Batmobile, the most contentious element of the game and the entire series, for good reason. It's a key component to the world of Batman, something that made a brief appearance in Arkham Asylum. Rocksteady wanted to integrate the Batman as far back as the first game. It does have a great introduction here.
What are you doing?
Evening the odds.
We're done for, aren't we?
But its integration throughout, that's where the issues arise. Let's start with the positives. It feels great to drive around. There's a lot of weight to its movement. It's amusing how it shocks enemies to deal with non-lethal blows. But unless you're chasing others around, gliding is far more enjoyable and faster. You have the sky at your disposal instead of the ground. Calling the Batman feels great. The way it speeds in off camera to hop into is great stuff. Very much a case of the cavalry has arrived moment. What about combat? Well, good thing the Arkham Knight and Scarecrow brought in unmanned tanks. That would be a major issue for Batman otherwise. Why didn't they do so? Are they stupid? As far as combat goes, it's decent vehicle combat. You get plenty of warning of where shots are coming from. Dodging works well. There are some enjoyable upgrades, like hijacking a tank to join your side, or use an EMP to knock them out of commission for a time. There's a lot of weight to hits and presentation is excellent. They did put a lot of love and care into it. As well polished as vehicle combat is, it pales in comparison to fisticuffs. Throughout my time, I never had the urge to seek out vehicle combat. If I stumbled upon it or the critical path called for it, so be it. And with all that care and time they put into the Batmobile, it gets plenty of mileage. This is Arkham Knight's greatest flaw. The Batmobile can be a momentum killer during the critical path or side quests. Not only with combat stretches or chases. There are sections of platforming with the Batmobile. Remote control the Batmobile to allow Batman to progress forward. While these platforming puzzles can be decent on their own, they clash with the rest of the game. Again, the way of the series' strengths. With all this time they put into the Batmobile, they wanted the player to experience it. Far too much along the critical path. Even then, it can get in the way of side quests in the Rogues Gallery. Remember that great fight against Deathstroke back in Origins? Time for a rematch. This time in the Batmobile. Or how about Firefly? We had a great fight with him on the bridge of Arkham Origins. Here we chase him around with the Batmobile a few times. Or what about the Riddler? I guess Batman has driven him up the wall these past few years. As a result, he now drives us up the wall, both figuratively and literally with the racetracks he's built under Gotham. It's an amusing thought of how much time and money he must have spent to have them built. How did Batman not stumble across these plans earlier? Is he stupid? It's one of those things where I have to wonder if they never integrated the Batmobile into Knight. While the care they put into these sections is clear, they fall well short of the game's other offerings. Navigating through the skies is far more enjoyable. Combat with fisticuffs is far better than combat with the Batmobile. Stealth sections are far more fun than sneaking up on tanks to take them out. Platforming sections as palette cleansers were better without the involvement of the Batmobile. They put all this time into it, so might as well make the player go through it as much as possible. It's this reason why I find City to be the superior title. While Knight would make several improvements across the board, the addition of the Batmobile weighs the game down. The game can have higher highs, but the Batmobile brings out the lowest of lows. Before going into the plots and highlights and lowlights of Arkham Knight, I want to bring up the writers. Paul Dini, one of the main writers of the animated series, was the sole writer for Arkham Asylum. He was one of 3 writers for Arkham City. He did not write for Origins or Arkham Knight. Reasons were vague, but seems Warner Brothers and Rocksteady didn't want to use freelance writers. Without his presence, the story of Arkham Knight struggles at several points. Plot threads from Arkham City can go unresolved or end with a whimper. There are cases of Batman acting like an idiot to advance the plot. There's the addition of a quote-unquote mysterious villain that never should have made it into the game. That said, it's no guarantee that the plot would have been miles better if Paul Dini were present. After all, he is part of a writing team of 3 for Arkham City. That plot was a mess. The writers did fine without him in Arkham Origins, but his presence is missing here. Speaking of changes, Scarecrow gets a major facelift, both in appearance and voice, ones that I have no issues with.
Tomorrow, this will seem like child's play. Gotham, this is your only warning.
As the main villain in Knight, he wouldn't have the same commanding presence with his old-looking voice.
And at the end of fear, oblivion.
They brought in John Noble for the role. I best know him as Denethor in the Lord of the Rings films. Commissioner Gordon also gets a change in voice, that being Finger himself, Jonathan Banks, Mike from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. I was waiting for him to go, "Here's what you're gonna do, Batman," at some point. Never happened.
Suspected officer down.
Hey, Batman. Every damn time.
Seeking out Scarecrow, Batman comes across Poison Ivy. Scarecrow gathered up the Rogues Gallery to go after Batman and take over Gotham. There's a wide range of missions we could do in Arkham Knight. Some coming more from the Ubisoft open world style design. Clear out checkpoints and watchtowers. Some through stealth, others through fisticuffs or the Batmobile. Some side quests play out throughout the night. One notable side quest is finding strung up bodies throughout Gotham. Opera music will give a sign that they're nearby. While simple, using detective mode to narrow down the identities of the victims gives a great showing of Batman's detective skills.
There's a bullet lodged deep in the upper bicep. This type of ammunition is predominantly used with a hunting rifle that hasn't been manufactured in over a decade. The left foot is missing several toes. The site of amputation suggests the removal of non-viable tissue in the treatment of frostbite.
Tracking down the killer will lead us to Professor Pig, one of the more disturbing villains in the Batman world. Too bad the fight is nothing to write home about, but you know how it is with Rocksteady boss fights. One disappointing side quest is the appearance of Hush. Remember that great cliffhanger in Arkham City, where he grafted his face to look like Bruce Wayne? Well, this plot thread ends with a whimper. It has a promising start. There's a nice little bait and switch.
Mr. Wayne? I thought you managed to get out. It sounds terrible out there. What are we gonna do?
Don't worry. This'll be over soon.
Look, if it's about that article, blame Ryder. I had nothing to do with it, I swear. Call me, okay? I miss you, Brucey.
Mr. Wayne, I just finished securing the building. Is something wrong? Anything I can help you with, sir? I didn't think you'd be coming back here tonight. Is there something I missed?
Identity confirmed. Good evening, Mr. Fox.
But before we know it, he's out of the picture.
My face!
That's it? With how Arkham City laid the foundation, you'd think there'd be more to it. It's one of those arcs where I have to wonder what Paul Dini had in store. That said, some characters get great conclusions, like Mr. Freeze and Nora in a DLC edition. Instead of holding on for a cure, Nora and Freeze decide to let her live out her last few days together. A nice, understated end to one of the more tragic Batman characters.
My work, the equipment, it's all gone. I can't save you. Maybe there's another way.
Victor, this isn't you. I won't let you destroy yourself anymore. I wish I could have told you sooner.
I don't want you to die, Nora.
Then let me live.
I won't have much time. Days.
Time never has been on our side, Victor.
Beyond his silly racetracks, the Riddler has several challenges for us. Of course, we have the trophies throughout Gotham. He armed Catman with an explosive collar that we could disarm through various challenges. Some of these Batmobile platforming puzzles are decent when they're off to the side, an optional choice. There are a few fun puzzles of switching back and forth between Batman and Catwoman. But after a certain point, Riddler comes after us with this goofy robot of his. But to deal with him in a final encounter, we need to complete all his riddles first. I'm with Selina on this one. Leave him be.
Enough! This is beneath me. You are beneath me. You want to finish this, detective? Then you must earn the privilege.
Solve every last riddle in this city and I'll fight you, Batman, but not a moment before.
Or we could just leave you down there, Eddie. Come on, Batman. This cat wants to prowl.
If you've gone through the effort to getting all these, well, you might as well be a subscriber to Dreamcast Guy. One great addition tonight is the GCPD. As the night progresses, the criminals you round up will fill out the cells. It's a nice way to seeing what your work has done beyond stat screens. There is more incentive to complete side quests due to rewards or upgrade points. Yes, you could earn them through combat and stealth, but side quests offer greater rewards. Whenever I see this Batman stance in the upgrade menu, all I could see is Movie Bob in his Mario costume. Surprise, surprise, Scarecrow has been making his fear toxin at Ace Chemicals. Scarecrow isn't alone with his forces. There's a mysterious Arkham Knight figure who brought in a large force. He seems to know a lot about what Batman can do.
Keep your guns trained on him. If he even looks like he's planning to leave that room, open fire. Oh, and avoid the bat symbol. It's a little trick. It's where his armor's the strongest. Aim for the weak spots at the shoulders first, then coordinate fire at the points where the plates meet.
Who is he? Well, we'll have to find out. In the meantime, let's call him, Tayson Jod. Tayson is going to be a thorn in our side throughout, one step ahead, able to get away each time. Once we reach Scarecrow, we get one of the most infuriating cases of cutscene incompetence I've come across in some time. Batman gets outplayed by Scarecrow like a total dork.
I am in complete control.
How do I shut it down?
Let me go, or she dies.
What are you talking about?
Barbara Gordon.
Have you found him?
Get out of there, now!
Relax. No one knows I'm here.
Like, this wouldn't even happen to the Adam West Batman. The only thing missing here is a laugh track. The thing is, they had such an easy out with this scene. Have Scarecrow give me a little dose of fear toxin and trap him inside. It's a get out of jail free card in putting Batman at a disadvantage. We stop Scarecrow's fear toxin attack. The way the scene plays out, it feels like it should have placement at the game's climax. We're only getting started here.
I'm monitoring that facility. You're out of time. I'm begging you, leave now.
It's what you taught me. Do the right thing. That's all that matters.
Master Bruce, I implore you. You must get out of there. If this is about Miss Gordon, you cannot blame yourself for what's happened. Save yourself before it's too late.
Goodbye, Alfred.
With that, a familiar face returns.
Miss me?
Yep, Arkham Knight brings Joker back into the fold, after Mark Hamill said City was his last performance, something they kept under wraps. But this Joker is only in Bruce's head, a result of the fear toxin and the mutated blood Joker placed within Batman. There's a different dynamic as a result. Beyond a few moments, Batman never talks to him. When I first came across the reveal, I rolled my eyes. Do we really need the Joker around again? The thing is, his appearance here did win me over. Mark Hamill always delivers. He's able to talk to Batman about things he couldn't before, like his identity as Bruce Wayne. There are great scenes where Batman's condition continues to worsen with the Joker becoming more prominent in his head. Some dark and twisted, others for laughs. Batman is off to rescue Barbara, with Gordon not too happy with this revelation. Returning to the clock tower where she works, we'll get a flashback of one fateful night for Barbara.
Colleen? Is that you again?
Candy grab! Oh, don't pass out just yet. Come on. Show a little spine. Just wait till your father gets home. He's going to be furious about all this mess.
Batman's hand forces him to tell Gordon the truth about his daughter.
I will find her.
She's my family! My daughter! She's all I've got! I never should have trusted you. Never! I'll do this on my own. Stay away from my family.
Arkham Knight adds elements of the crime scene detective work from Arkham Origins. Still, it's far and few between. There's the addition of going through recorded footage to piece together a conclusion. Again, it's simple in its execution, but brings those detective skills to the forefront. This is where the game begins to amp up the use of Batmobile along the critical path, to the point where it starts getting into, well, let's get this over with territory. Going after Barbara ends up being a wild goose chase with several diversions along the way. One plot thread is the Joker's blood affecting others beyond Batman, a handful of others affected due to hospital errors. Like Batman, the personality of the Joker starts to emerge from them. Unlike Batman, their willpower to suppress these traits aren't up to snuff.
Oh, Bats! You're so easy. Desperate to see the good in people. Especially when they're bad. Honey! I'm home!
Activating jailbreak protocol.
Tracking down Scarecrow, we once again get another case of cutscene incompetence. At least this one is less infuriating.
Making the right choice is so hard, isn't it? But bad luck, Bats!
You're not dying. It just feels like you are. My toxin is filling your lungs, drowning you in your greatest fears.
The scene after, with Joker taking more control, makes up for it.
Come on, finish him. Finish him. Look at him. Look at him. Better than the creep who killed your parents. You need to do something. You need to stop him. Good. Good.
Something's changed. You're different.
I'd prefer to call it a work in progress, but it does show potential.
Scarecrow has locked up Barbara where we first found Ivy. What follows is one of the most brutal scenes in the series.
Oh, here comes the toxin. I can practically taste it.
What's happening?
Barbara!
Yes, you see it now. The horror behind the glass.
No.
The monster that will be your end. Unless you pick up that gun and deny him.
Don't listen!
Please, no.
Barbara, it's me! Your friend.
You won't get me. possible that you hit me?
You will bring death to all who follow you.
Sir, what's happened?
She's gone, Alfred.
What do you mean?
Barbara. Scarecrow was punishing me. He killed her.
With a few points of IQ returning, Batman remembers that Ivy is not affected by Scarecrow's toxin. Through plant power, Ivy can counteract Scarecrow's plans. Batman begins to see flashbacks of Jason Todd, the previous Robin, captured by the Joker. Batman's greatest failure. The Joker killed him.
My name is Jason Todd. Who do you hate? Batman. Excellent. Of course you do. Did you get that, Bats? Kid's not yours anymore. He's mine. Mine. To do with as I wish. Hey, I never asked. What's the big secret? Who is the big bad bat? His name. Tell me.
Of course, sir.
Never could stand a tattletale. That's why I like to work alone. No one to spoil the punchline.
Scarecrow unleashes the Cloudburst, engulfing the streets of Gotham with fear toxin. It's quite the spectacle gliding around the city, the streets engulfed below. Batman continues to face the brink with what Scarecrow throws at him, almost succumbing to the fear toxin. A mixture with Joker doesn't help these situations.
To remove the power core slowly, or the failsafe lock will kick in.
All that effort must be tiring you out. You're getting sleepy, Bats.
Mr. Bruce, are you all right? Sir, are you there?
Give me a moment, Alfred. I'll be fine.
You're not looking too good, old boy. It won't be long now till I'm behind the wheel.
What follows is another long, annoying case of more mandated Batmobile sections. Combat, Batmobile stealth, and platforming that move away from the game's strengths. I breathed a sigh of relief once these sections ended. In a valiant sacrifice, Ivy expends herself to remove the Cloudburst. Like Mr. Freeze and Nora, it's a great send-off of one of the more iconic characters of Batman.
Nature always wins.
Yep, a great send-off. They don't need to bring her back, that's for sure. Who would do such a thing? Are they stupid? As well, the thugs around town seem to recover from the fear toxin without a hitch. To be fair, I get from a gameplay perspective why they did so, but it's one of those blips in the suspension of disbelief. We get some comical sections, and not in a good way, with a Batmobile chase and fight with Arkham Knight. He's really out for us.
Don't worry, Bruce. I kept some secrets to myself.
And then we get the reveal of Arkham Knight. In a showing of how lame it is, my footage corrupted for the scene, so I had to grab it off a playthrough on YouTube.
Who are you?
You really have no idea. Do you, Bruce?
Jason. But you're dead.
Let's not fall out here, Bats. I might have told you a teeny tiny little lie.
Yes, Jason Todd is the Arkham Knight, something that everyone and their mother predicted. Even more predictable than Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League being a flop. It was hilarious leading up to release where Rocksteady was all, nope, that's not Jason. I mean, who else could it have been? Hush? A different villain from the Rogues Gallery? An all-new character never introduced before? Or what if they never revealed who he was? Whatever you end up with, it's a bad choice. It's a twist for the sake of a twist, and one which everyone saw coming, except for Batman. With a few tweaks, you could remove the Arkham Knight from the plot altogether. Keep Scarecrow as the main focus. To note, Arkham Knight doesn't have the issue of juggling Protocol 10 and Joker's cure like Arkham City. The Arkham Knight and Scarecrow are working together. That said, there are long stretches where Scarecrow fades into the background as Jason takes center stage. This being an open world title and one larger than City, the game does a decent job of maintaining urgency yet giving the player time to explore. There are stretches that take time to track down Scarecrow or the Arkham Knight. In the meantime, we could deal with the other criminals on the streets of Gotham. Remove the Arkham Knight and you have a far tighter story. His presence takes away from the plot. As bad as his inclusion is, emotions are running high throughout this scene. You can see how Joker and his crew broke him.
You did this to me.
I'm sorry.
You left me to rot in that abandoned wing of Arkham for over a year. With him.
It's not too late. We can fix this. Together. Alfred, I found Jason.
Excuse me, sir. I must have misheard you. For a moment, I thought you said that you'd found Master Todd.
You heard right.
My God, is he all right?
No. No, he's not.
Once again on the trail of Scarecrow, there's a great understated scene between Batman and Gordon. Jim's knowledge of Batman shouldn't come as a surprise.
You know, you see a lot in this job, a lot of pain, a lot of suffering. But I'll never forget taking a witness statement from an 8-year-old boy who'd just seen his parents gunned down.
You were kind, Jim.
I was thinking, I may never get a chance to tell you this, to say sorry.
You don't need to.
We're the same, Bruce. We'd do anything for our family.
Sure, he was in the same room where Bruce and Jason were talking, but I'm sure he made the deduction years ago. But it turns out Barbara isn't dead. The way they shot her death, it did pop into my mind that this may have been the fear toxin in action on Batman. This does take away from her death scene. In some ways I wish that's how it did play out, that it was real. But you know, comics love to kill and bring characters back all the time. Scarecrow holds Gordon and Robin hostage. He wants us to come alone and be ready to take off the mask. And Batman complies. What? He doesn't put up a fight at all? He lays down the utility belt without a second thought? Before we get to this final confrontation with Scarecrow, there are a few other elements of Arkham Knight's plot I want to discuss. There are elements throughout pointing to this being the end of Batman. Of course, one of the first lines of the game comes from Gordon mentioning it.
This is how it happened. This is how the Batman died.
Scarecrow pushes him to his absolute limits. The Joker resides within. He comes face to face with his greatest failures, like Jason Todd. There are side quests that revolve around Bruce stepping away as Batman. A quest line with Azrael and testing if he is worthy of wearing the cowl. Of course, he's received brainwashing and not fit for it. There are side quests with Nightwing where he pushes to take on more responsibility. Although considering how Penguin gets the drop on him, unless this was a ruse, he may need more time. There are stretches teaming up with Robin where again he wants to take on more responsibility, although we lock him away for a time. They have all this setup of Batman stepping away, even without the Arkham Knight. You can keep the scenes with Jason kidnapped, a reminder of Batman's greatest failure. The steps are there, but the ending fumbles it near the end zone. If done right, turning himself over to Scarecrow for Gordon and Robin could have worked. But no, he places his gadgets on the desk like a good little boy and puts up no fuss. I was ready for him to pull some kind of trick. You think Batman would have something in mind. With that, we return to where the series began, at the Asylum. And with camera crews watching, Batman takes off his mask, his identity laid bare. Scarecrow injects Batman with a large dose of fear toxin, and we're back into Jokerland. Like the ending of Origins, this is a narrative final encounter. And hey, that's fine with me. We get an interesting stretch as Joker in the first person. Joker coming face to face with the great fear of being forgotten.
Harley? You call this a wake? Where is everybody? Oh, forgot to send the invites, didn't you?
Today marks the 1-year anniversary of the Joker's death. Any thoughts on the occasion?
Sorry, who?
The Joker? You remember?
The question mark guy. He's dead?
No, not him.
And through sheer willpower and a dose of plot armor, Bruce perseveres and pushes out the Joker.
I am vengeance.
I am the Knight. I am Batman.
Bats, wait! No, please! No!
Goodbye, Joker.
No! Bruce! Don't leave me! Please! I need you.
He turns Scarecrow's greatest weapons against himself. Taking Scarecrow back to the GCPD, I love how the cops respect Batman. While surprised, they don't seem to care about his identity. To them, he'll always be Batman.
So Bruce Wayne, huh? If it's all the same to you, I'll stick to Batman.
You could chat with the locked up rogues gallery and inmates with this revelation. You can continue your journey throughout Gotham, with thugs commenting on this revelation. It's interesting to hear how everyone handles it in a different way.
I wanted to help people, but Gotham wouldn't let me. Good men don't last here, Bruce. Not when everybody knows who they are.
When we wish to return to Wayne Manor, Bruce and Alfred put the Nightfall Protocol into action.
Are you sure you want to do this, Master Bruce? I've got to. It's the only way to protect them.
Very well.
We just saw Bruce Wayne, now known to be the masked vigilante Batman, enter his home, refusing to come.
This is how it happened. This is how the Batman died.
This isn't the true ending. To do that, you need to apprehend everyone, get all the Riddler trophies. Like Selina, I'm in the same boat of leaving Riddler locked down in his hidey hole, so I'll grab this last bit off YouTube. This adds a little more to the prior ending. And so ends Arkham Knight, a frustrating title with the best gameplay in the series, along with the worst moments. The best coming from pushing stealth and combat systems to their limits. The lows come from disappointing ends to character arcs and tedious Batmobile sections. And the story of the end of the Batman misses its mark. The predictability of the Arkham Knight, the plot slingering at points as we progress. The Joker within Batman plot thread was one of the better successes of the story, and won me over. It's an interesting twist to the use of Joker. We get to see a different side of him, and Bruce as a result. Since the release of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, I've seen mention where that game ruined Batman's send-off here. Well, when you compare anything to the equivalent of a turd, a mediocre send-off is going to look amazing as a result. After how well executed Origins handled his early days, it's a bummer how Arkham Knight sends off Batman. That said, it's still an incredible game. The series as a whole is one of the best series over the last 15 years. A studio in its early days, with one game under their belt, received the keys to the franchise. Licensed games have a large variance in quality, but to produce some of the best games in the last 15 years, titles that have influenced others but few can seem to top, it's a testament to the talents at Rocksteady and WB Games Montreal, which does make their follow-ups and their downfalls a bummer. Gotham Knights from WB Games came and went. As of writing, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League has been out a little over a month. The less said about it, the better. Each writing session, I was ready to add Warner Brothers shut down Rocksteady Games at some point. To see such talented studios lose their mark with losses of talent and poor decision making from those above them is a bummer. But whatever happens, we'll always have these titles. The license may go to other studios, but I don't foresee anything coming close to what these 4 games achieved. After leaving Rocksteady in late 2022, the 2 co-founders opened up a new studio, 100 Star Games. A studio looking to keep team sizes capped at 100 staff, something I'm curious to see the results of. For ranking the series from best to worst, it would be City, Knight, Asylum, and Origins. There's not a huge drop between the top and the bottom. Each have their strengths and weaknesses. City made a huge leap with what they did with Asylum, from the open world to combat. Knight would push combat and stealth to its limits, but struggle with the addition of the Batmobile. While Asylum is bare bones compared to the other titles, it offers the best atmosphere and worked well as a linear Metroidvania-like title. While some of the polish was missing with a different studio, WB Games Montreal delivered the strongest story and the best bosses with Origins. It's a series I could revisit anytime and have a blast with. I know that's been the case for many others, and always will be. Thanks for watching. If you made it all the way to the end here, if you haven't done so, like, subscribe, comment. If you'd like to support the channel further, consider becoming a patron or a YouTube member. You'll get access to videos earlier, you'll get featured in the forthcoming credits, and you'll get periodic updates of what I'm working on.
And I didn't need molded plastic to improve my physique. Pure West. And how come Batman doesn't dance anymore? Remember the Bat-2-C?
Nice meeting you. Just keep moving, don't make eye contact.